Fagan and Glen Biegel are here. They're gonna tear it up, rip it down, and shoot it straight. Fagan and Biegel in the morning on Hot Talk, KOAN. And now, Fagan and Biegel.
Well, I had an experience last night I don't ever want to live out again. It was traumatic. It was terrifying. It brought great fear and trepidation to my heart.
They overcooked your steak, and this is where my mind's going. Am I close?
At about 9:20,
yep,
I decided, you know what, I'm going to go on and I'm going to look at this election result thing. I didn't want to watch any of the TV or listen to the radio. And I look on there and I see the yes vote having more than the no vote.
Yep.
And my heart sunk. I thought, how could we have done this to ourselves? How could we have been so foolish? How could we have been so ignorant? And then as I'm glued to it the rest of the night, right? And then all of a sudden we got a 1,000 vote lead, then a 2,000 vote lead. And,
yeah, you should have been at Election Central.
Yeah.
I wanted to puke.
Yeah. And then, I'm sure they were all yelling, it's our oil, it's our oil.
Oh, yeah.
The mob.
More than that.
It's a mob mentality.
It was awful.
Give us our damn oil. We want, gimme.
Bonnie got in a fight on the radio last night.
With who?
Tom Anderson.
Oh, yeah, really?
It
Tom
was
Anderson
crazy.
has never followed anybody's life.
They were all screaming at each other. It was horrible.
When I listen to Tom Anderson's show, he can have a communist on, I really like your ideas, and I think you got some really good things going. Then he can be talking to like a hard right conservative. Oh, yeah, I really like what you're doing. I really think you got a lot of good things going there.
He was a little back and forth.
Really? He was confrontational?
I think it was the Meade Treadwell, Joe Miller thing.
Oh, is he a big Meade guy?
Yeah, and he just went off on Bonnie, it felt like.
About Meade?
I loved it.
Was he angry because Meade was getting his ass kicked?
No, because at that point it wasn't in the beginning. We didn't have sin yet. And I went right in and I said, I'm very biased. Vote no person, and so there it is. And he went off about how he thought that Joe was, didn't, speak hard enough, he spoke too hard. He was too harsh.
Yeah.
He said too much.
Well, he
was.
Up that.
And so then he went off on that, and I said, you know what, I like it.
Yeah.
I like that kind of talk. And then he went into the orphans in Mexico or whatever, and
what's that about?
And attacked my humanity, and that didn't go over very well either.
Well, Bonnie, I have some bad news for you.
Go ahead, break it to me.
To be the one,
break it to me easy.
Glenn has not heard this news yet either, and he may not even agree with me, but I suspect he will because he's a very solid intellectual person. When you look at, there's one thing here that really stuck out to me that I think is very telling. Dan Sullivan, the mayor of Anchorage. You're familiar with him, right, Glenn? You've even met him a couple times.
I've met him a time or two, yeah. Heard of him.
He ran, the conservative's conservative.
Yeah.
Right? Anybody more conservative than Dan Sullivan? I know you'd say Joe Miller because you know. But
anybody who's elected who's more conservative than Dan Sullivan.
No one has more conservative results.
Right.
Yeah.
He's never wavered. He took on the unions, for goodness sake. Nobody takes on the union.
No.
He ran against some no-name called Kelly Wolf. I mean, this guy, literally nobody knows who he is.
It's a guy.
I don't even know. It could be a woman.
Is it?
It could be a transvestite. I have no idea. It could be a former woman that's now a man, a former man that's now a woman. I have no idea who Kelly Wolf is. Kelly Wolf got 30% of the vote.
In a Republican primary.
What?
Those are Joe Millers.
Really?
30% of the people in this primary voted for Joe Miller because they want Mark Begich to win. That's the representation of the left. How else do you explain a guy named Kelly Wolf getting almost 26,000 votes and Dan Sullivan only getting 60,000? How else do you explain that? That's the left. From the beginning, this has been about, we got to get Joe Miller in there. It's Mark Begich's only chance. And that would be Exhibit A.
So that would be the 30% that Dan Sullivan, candidate for U.S. Senate, is going to really have to try to win over? Is that what you're saying?
No, these are leftists.
Oh, you
These
think
are
that they'd
leftists
rather have Mark
because
Begich.
we have an open primary.
They grab the Democrat ballot? Or do they grab the Republican ballot?
No, most people aren't registered with any party. But we got plenty of leftists in the state. And so the leftists who like Mark Begich, and not just the leftists, the people who Mark Begich has given gazillions of dollars to, which is a whole handful of people too, it is my suspicion that they voted in the wide open Republican Party primary, with the exception of registered Democrats, to try to get Joe Miller. And to say that showing that Joe Miller had was an earned, no, I don't believe that. He absolutely ran a stellar campaign because he was attack-free, and Mark Begich was sitting there side by side with Joe Miller, attacking Joe Miller's opponents. So he had a partner in crime, Mr. Miller did. But to say that, and I don't want to kill his glory here, but I guarantee, and I'm dying to hear Glen's an answer to this, and I'm not really interested in hearing yours because I know what it is. But Glen, honestly, do you think that there was a strong showing in the Republican primary from people who voted for Joe Miller, who were praying to God that he would somehow eke out a win?
Sure.
To lose to Begich.
There were some. I don't know whether or not 30% of them.
Well, not 30% of them
were.
Yeah.
Because here's the deal. This was a pro-union, anti-union vote. Okay. If the people, right, it's not necessarily conservative liberal, because a lot of people who are in unions, public employee unions,
will never vote for Sullivan.
They'll never vote for Sullivan. They just can't bring themselves to it. So I'd say that it's 50-50. Look, I'm not saying that it's zero, not even close to zero. There are a number of people who are really progressive. And by progressive, I mean people who are left-wingers, who know they're left-wingers.
Yeah.
They're not confused
they
about
hate Israel.
They
hate the free market.
Look, they want bigger government.
They love the death culture.
They're worried about corporations.
They want to disintegrate the American family.
They have no idea what the private sector is all about. They don't like private sector employment. They like public sector employment. Government always does good. Okay, that's a progressive. I give it about 50-50. Half the people who voted against Dan Sullivan are just going to be voting the union card, but they could have split anyway amongst all candidates, and then there was going to be a contingent of people who are left-wingers.
So, that is a fair and unbiased analysis.
And maybe it's not 50-50. I don't know.
No, I agree, because I forgot the union-hating aspect.
Just because unions are going to vote against Dan Sullivan doesn't mean that they're progressives.
Right.
There are some union members, and that's just
he's hurting
their life.
He's hurting their paycheck.
But every Joe Miller supporter that I talked to, nobody mentioned Dan Sullivan or Dan Sullivan. They did not mention him as someone they were out for. It was other people, but...
Oh, union supporters?
No, I'm talking about Joe Miller supporters. You're saying that Joe Miller supporters...
these people who wouldn't talk to you. You would never associate with these people.
Oh.
Yeah, these are...
This is surreptitious. This is something they're going to do under the table.
Right.
This is something they're going to do on the side. Look, Joe Miller had a fantastic showing, and frankly, Meade handed it to him. Handed it second place.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take your calls. Get your thoughts on the election. 569-1080. Take your calls. Get your thoughts on the election. 569-1080.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. On the Talk of the KVNT, 92.5 FM, 1020 AM.
Here at the hospital, the focus is patient health. But as the administrator, my focus is patient information. Medical history of documents printed, scanned, and accessed.
With intelligent EchoSys printers and powerful MFPs, like the 45-page per minute Alpha 4551 Sky, plus customized apps and services, Kyocera helps you manage the many documents that matter.
At a hospital, every document is important.
Learn more at kyoceradocumentsolutions.com/US.
Royal Business Systems has been a leading provider of high-quality business technology and services since 1990. Royal Business Systems provides HP, Okidata, and Kyocera printers and MFPs, and support recognized throughout the industry as best in class. Come to Royal Business Systems for the total document solution you need to succeed in a competitive marketplace. Don't call 1-800-WHO-CARES. Call Royal Business Systems at 563-4118. That's 563-4118. Or visit us at akcopy.net.
The 2014 Blues Train departs Anchorage for Seward on Saturday, September 20th. Imagine traveling through the most breathtaking scenery that Alaska has to offer, all while listening to the great sounds of the Iris Sellers Band. Add your favorite cocktail, and some righteous appetizers, and you'll have this year's Blues Train. Once you arrive in Seward, you'll be treated to a barbecue and a party at the Pit Bar. Then you can relax in your hotel room or take in the sights that only Seward has to offer. Sunday, you're back on board the Alaska Railroad for your trip back to Anchorage. 2014 Blues Train will sell out. Wait to get your tickets. Find more information at knik.com, or to make reservations, go to akrailroad.com. Blues Train 2014, brought to you by Blues Central Production, the Alaska Railroad, and by your friends at Alaska Integrated Media.
Fagan.com. Weekdays, 6 to 9 a.m. The Talk of the Valley, KVNT.
6:17 in the morning. Today, Alaska survived an almost fatal gunshot wound. Dan Fagan, Glen Bonnie, Cameron over there. Our number 569-1080. I purposely avoided all media last night. I just went to the election result page, but I went to KOAN for about 4 minutes. KOAN was streaming down there. And it was Eddie Burke and Bill Wielechowski loving on each other.
Ugh.
Standing up saying, next time we'll get them. You know, we stood up for the people. And
Yuke.
It's just so
next
weird.
Time we'll get who?
The oil companies.
Why would we want to get the oil?
Because it's our oil. They're stealing it from us.
Oh, they're stealing it from us. Oh, I thought they were paying. I thought they were paying 90% of our bills, and they employed 1/3 of our people. Did I miss something?
I should have brought shovels last night.
You didn't see
and handed them out.
And a bucket.
Yeah.
It's
Here's
your oil.
shovel and bucket. Go get it.
Go get it. Go get some of that
thieves. They're taking advantage of the little guy, like you and me.
Of us.
We're victims.
They built all of our roads, all of our bridges.
It doesn't matter. We're victims.
What were we thinking?
We're giving away Alaska.
You know what's funny?
I
read. You remember that bumper sticker? Please God, give us another oil boom, and I promise not to piss this one away.
Yeah.
What are they talking about? We've got schools, we've got roads, we've got bridges,
we've got $70 billion in the bank.
We got $70 billion in the bank. There's 700,000 people here.
Glenn,
they're stealing it from us, Dan.
It's our oil.
It is our oil.
Bonnie, it's our oil.
Oh, I know.
Sourdoughs, no. Big oils.
Join me.
MO.
Join me. It's our oil. It's our oil.
So leave it in the ground.
It's our oil.
Leave it in the ground.
It's our oil.
Leave it in the ground. Look, I was wrong, by the way, on the election results by about 3%. But 3% both ways, so about 6% total.
On what? On the Senate race?
On yes and no.
Oh, you thought it would be...
I thought we would win 55-45. And this is... You need a cushion, by the way, in order to be able to feel comfortable that Bill Wielechowski is wrong when he says we're going to get them next time. Okay? We are going to get our largest producer, our only producer of wealth in the state of Alaska, the people who pay 90% of the state's bills. We are going to get them next time. So the oil companies need more of a buffer between the Bill Wielechowskis, who really do want to get them. I don't know what they want to get them for, but whatever it is, and people who want a partnership with the oil industry. So they've still got a lot of work to do. And they shouldn't be doing this work during elections. They need to be doing this work off elections. We need to know explicitly every time this is a Senate Bill 21 project. This road was built with Senate Bill 21 money.
Yep.
This bridge is a Senate Bill 21 bridge. They have got to ram this down our throats. They've got to remind us every single minute of every day. This partnership that you have agreed to with the state of Alaska by the merest margin. This is so critical. It's
well,
such
I don't
an
think we're
important
going to have to
decision
do any
you
of
made.
that.
No,
because
they need to do that.
Who's they?
The oil companies.
Yeah, I don't think so, because I think it's going to be so obvious. You know, we missed out on the oil boom because of ACES. The second we got rid of ACES, the oil boom came to Alaska, and it's going to continue. I think the evidence will be overwhelming.
Yeah, but almost half the state doesn't know that. I think that's what Glenn's
but
point
it's going to be,
that's
look,
good.
you can't have a North Dakota explosion without the state knowing it. I'm telling you, after today, the oil companies are going to increase their investment considerably, and we are going to see an explosion in the oil and gas field.
And I'm going to let everybody know. I'm going to let everybody know how important this was, and that this was because we want a partnership, because we're not operating our government with our largest producer at the end of a gun. That's what I'm going to do.
Well, and then
I think they need to do it too.
Then there was a guy who was coming around asking people to sign a petition, and he said, "I'm the guy who got Bill Allen, and I'm the guy, you know, who got." And I said,
Disco Ray?
"I said, oh, were you the guy who got Ted Stevens too?" "Yep." "Oh, are you voting yes? Are you for yes on one?" And he said, "Oh, I'm spearheading it." And I just would really, I hope people really read petitions first and find out who's sponsoring them before they just sign away.
Man, I wish there was a way we could get rid of the ballot initiative process.
Yeah.
It's so anti-founding fathers.
Mm-hmm.
We are a constitutional republic, not majority rules.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish we could get rid of those. They're so destructive. And I know that if lawmakers were to try to push toward that, the leftist, communist media would say, oh, that's anti-democracy. It's not anti-democracy.
We don't have democracy.
Yeah.
Well, we do when we do these things. I think this is good. Because you know a whole lot about oil. Did you know a whole lot about this tax structure and how they pay taxes and how much they pay in taxes, Bonnie?
No, I'm busy with my
Most
kids and
people
my
don't.
family, and
Yeah.
No.
Most people don't. Most people had never had an opportunity to actually learn how does the state of Alaska get its money, what sources of different kinds of taxes do we levy upon the oil industry, how much do they pay in taxes? Like you asked the question to Eddie Burke. They say, well, here's how much the oil industry made in profits. How much do you think they paid in taxes? He said, oh, about 30%. Mm-hmm. It turned out it was 200%. Their amount of profits, they paid double that in the amount of taxes.
Let me give you some of the results here in the Senate race, just so. This is with 98.6% reporting. Dan Sullivan came in with 40% of the vote, 36,293, which is, when you look at the amount of money Fagan spent trying to defeat him, that is phenomenal. Joe Miller came in a second with 31.99%, 28,974. Another great showing. Just killer campaign. Minus the flyer, I don't think he made a mistake. And then Meade Treadwell, who ran, frankly, a horrific campaign. The whole, calling or saying that the racist flyer you sent out to Joe Miller, that may have worked in general. It's not going to work in a Republican primary. He got only 24% of the vote, 25% almost, with 22,564. How did you think the Senate race was going to turn out, Glenn? Were you off on your prediction there?
No, I thought Sullivan was going to win from people I was talking to.
Do you think Treadwell's going to come in third?
Yeah. It's after the flyer, after the Channel 2 debate. He was sort of starting to fray at the edges, making the wrong arguments, and I didn't vote for him in the end either. And the reason was because I thought he had the best chance to win, right? Because I thought he had the best chance to capture enough of the bush. But when you call your opponent a racist,
well, he said, I want to talk about your racist flyer you sent out.
Okay, well,
same thing, kind of.
It's pretty close.
Yeah,
it's close enough. And here's the problem with saying, because I was depending on Meade Treadwell representing himself as a conservative, and that's not a conservative thing to say, A. And B, he had broken the coalition at that point of the people who were supposed to work together, a.k.a., also known as, or i.e., he wasn't the easiest candidate to elect at that point. You can't leave part of your base behind, call them racists.
Well, and then those of us who are conservatives, we've all been called racist. So that hit us all,
right? And
because we've been called that before.
What he should have done is he should have said, this is an example of you not being a very good politician, and that's why you can't win, because you're offending people, or people can be offended, will probably be offended by this flyer when it gets out. Mark Begich is going to make this flyer a problem for you and for us.
The problem with that answer
is what he should have said.
The problem with that answer is the very heart of what you're saying is withhold your opinions because it'll offend. And Joe Miller could have knocked that out of the park. He said, "Look, Meade, I speak as I see it. I speak my heart. I don't withhold my opinions. I'm worried about what people think." I mean, he could have just knocked that above the deck.
The point wasn't Joe Miller here. The point was Meade Treadwell.
You didn't understand what I just said. So you want Meade Treadwell basically to say to Joe Miller.
You're saying Joe Miller would have doubled down on, yes, I understand that offending people, but that's my job. My job is to offend as many people as possible to let them know what I think.
It's to get the truth out.
Okay, that's not the truth.
I'd like to be able to say what I think.
It's not the truth.
When Meade goes to Joe and say, this shows you're not a good politician, that you should pull your punches, basically is what he's saying. Joe Miller could have said, I'm not pulling my punches. I'm not going to withhold what I believe just to please people. That's the problem with America today. Politicians like that. And the crowd would have stood up and cheered, and Meade Treadwell would have been out of the race.
Nope. That's not the point that Meade would have tried to make.
Well, I thought you...
wasn't trying to say pull your punches. He's saying stop offending people.
There is truth to that flyer, though.
That flyer is not true because the picture depicts people who are gang members and then says 20 million of them are going to try and vote.
Would some of them stay here under amnesty, under any kind of pathway to citizenship?
Let's not argue the merits of the flyer.
Well, the whole
you're calling on Meade Treadwell to say stop offending people?
That is the job of a politician. The job of a politician is one job.
So you're telling
keep the people who are part of your base.
I got your point 1,000 times over.
All right.
So don't offend other people. You're telling Meade Treadwell to say publicly to another politician who is a man of conviction, stop offending people? You think that was a winning strategy, Bonnie?
Yes. No.
It's like that's saying, hey, be a politician, don't say what you believe. That would have been the worst thing you could have said.
Okay. Well, I disagree.
But do you disagree because you don't want to be wrong, or do you not see my point?
No. To tell someone that this flyer is offensive to people and will be used by Begich in the general election was exactly the point that he should have made. The point that he should have made was you can't win the general election because you're not a good politician, because you keep offending people when you don't have to.
Be a better politician?
Right? Because you don't understand what your job is.
Be a better politician?
That Mark Begich is going to beat you because of this flyer. That's what he should have said, not you're a racist.
Do you think that those people would have voted for Joe Miller anyway?
Absolutely. Do you know how many Catholics there are who are people who have brown skin, who would love to vote for a conservative, who do not want to be offended, but will be convinced that Joe Miller is calling them gang members and people who are against the Second Amendment? That is the way it would have been played.
That's funny because I think they'd agree with him. They don't want him over here either. But that's just me.
Okay.
6:28 in the morning.
You only got to lose 5%.
569 569-1080. 569-1080. That's a number. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think you both have. You're partially right, both.
But you're all the way right.
Well, no, I just don't think you can say to a politician, be a better politician. That's not a winning message.
Don't give Mark Begich a stick with which to beat you.
Oh.
That's the point that I'm trying to make.
He's already talking about Dan Sullivan. So.
Oh, he's been talking about Dan Sullivan the whole time.
Who are you talking about?
Mark Begich.
Mark Begich made some comments last night about Dan
sure.
Sullivan.
Oh, what were they? Oh, we'll hear those.
6:29. All right. 569-1080 is the number. Call.
Oh, we'll hear those.
6:29. All right. 569-1080 is the number. Call.
Fagan and Biegel, weekday mornings from 6 to 9 a.m. on the Talk of the Valley.
Into a crash between a Princess tour bus and a tractor trailer. The Parks Highway, Monday. Several people on the bus were injured. Details are emerging on the suspect in the murder of the pregnant wife of a Marine. That story from Ann Kendall.
24-year-old ex-Marine Christopher Brandon Lee was arrested during a traffic stop in Anchorage this weekend for the murder of 19-year-old Erin Corwin, whose body was found in California on Saturday after she had been missing for several weeks. Investigators believe her unborn child might have been Lee's. and that he was worried that his wife would divorce him and keep him away from their child if she found out about the alleged affair. The disappearance of the young mother-to-be was followed by national news outlets and featured on the cover of People magazine.
That's your Hot Talk News update. Local weather is next.
Mostly sunny skies with a shower in spots for this afternoon, high 67. Clear tonight, low 50. Mostly sunny and nice for tomorrow, high 68. Thursday night, low 54. Friday, sunshine and clouds, high 65. And for Saturday, clouds and sunshine, high 66. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather. KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
They say every healthy relationship should have a balance of predictability and spontaneity. In fact, it is that assurance of security that makes the spontaneous possible. Your relationship with your car should be a little like that too. With our new industry-leading unlimited mileage warranty, your certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz instills a sense of confidence. You drive away knowing that you can keep driving for up to 3 years and never have to worry about the miles. Add to that our new complimentary prepaid maintenance on select models, and your certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz becomes the ultimate carefree escape vehicle. Only during the Mercedes-Benz Certified Pre-Owned Sales event, going on now through September 2nd, can you also take advantage of a 2-month payment credit on many models, plus 3 months of Sirius XM satellite radio. So hurry in today. It might just be the most predictable, spur-of-the-moment decision you've ever made.
See your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer for complete details and limitations on certified pre-owned warranties.
Hi, this is Herb Ekman of Alaska Sausage and Seafood, here with my son Martin. It's summer, the time for visits from friends and family.
If your guests go fishing, we would be happy to smoke and vacuum pack their fish and ship it to them. Even if they don't catch anything, bring them to our retail store in Midtown Anchorage, where we have a wide variety of wonderful smoked salmon and gourmet sausages with reindeer. Try the samples, then take home some of your favorites packed for airline travel. That means your fish will arrive at your home hassle-free.
And our retail store offers special European foods such as Hengstenberg sauerkraut, European jams like Mühlhauser Sauerkirsche, Kinder chocolates and marzipan, German breads like Schnittbrötchen and pretzel. We also have our own smoked salmon spread.
Come in and let us give you the one-on-one attention you deserve. Alaska Sausage and Seafood is the place on Arctic near Benson.
Just tell them Herb or Martin sent you.
Junior high was my favorite time in school. That's what you want your child to say, right? Anchor Lutheran School makes that a reality. At Anchor, students thrive in a positive social environment with involved discussions and engaging technology. Through experiential learning, students develop talents, build leadership skills, and value community involvement. Anchor also offers 5 competitive sports, band, theater, and much more. Kindergarten through junior high enrolling now. Anchor Lutheran School on Arctic Boulevard, just north of Diamond. Visit alsalaska.org or call 522-3636 to learn more.
When I grow up, I want to be a pro basketball player.
An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you do or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian.
A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can grow your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything. From auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Glenn, every once in a while you find a hidden gem right here in Anchorage.
You're talking about the Snow Leopard Boutique.
I am.
Owner Eileen Bear has an amazing eye for beauty.
For decorating ideas, it doesn't get any better than Snow Leopard Boutique.
They have 2,400 square feet of everything you need to beautify yourself and your home.
Glenn, I noticed a calming atmosphere the moment I walked in.
Dan, how about those chocolate truffles?
Yeah, and you can wash them down with a free latte.
The Snow Leopard Boutique.
At the corner of Tudor and Old Seward.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give them a call, 569-1080. You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning on the Talk of the Valley, KVNT.
All right, welcome back. 6:35 in the morning. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. We survived. I saw a guy the other day, or it was yesterday, actually. I'm hearing your audio, Glenn, on your computer.
Oh.
I saw a guy, and I was actually with Dan Fauske. I saw Dan Fauske, and we're talking about, I said, how do you think Prop 1's going to do? And he goes, man, it's so too
paying 90% of their bills and employing a third of their people and creating all the wealth in the state of Alaska. I hope they take advantage of it a little bit more.
You just have to wonder what folks were thinking.
Oh, yeah. Yesterday, sign waving, there was this guy with a British flag going around talking about $15 million or something. And, I said, this isn't a joke. He was using a British accent. And I said, this is our family's livelihood. Like, it's not a joke. I've got my kids out here sign waving, and you're making a joke out of it.
Well, how did you take that? Because, a lot of people on the left, they live in theoretical land.
Oh,
in other words,
laughed.
well, I think that this is the way that the world is, and I think that this is the way oil companies are treating us. And, you give them a fact, like they pledged $10 billion worth of new projects.
Mm-hmm.
That happened because of Senate Bill 21. It's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way things are. They say, well, they might have pledged those anyway. In other words, they just dance away from the fact. Here's the fact. Well, okay, well, I'm dancing away from the fact. I'm going to ignore the fact. So a lot of times when you confront people who are actually hurting you, and I've confronted a leftist about Obamacare yesterday, and he actually came out and said, look, if your family suffers because of Obamacare, that's too bad.
Because it's good for everybody else.
Yeah, it's good for everybody else. Right. It's like, oh, well, no big deal. You got a big family. Tough luck for you.
Oh.
I mean, and it
and
really,
they hate that. They hate the big families.
There's a real cruelty amongst people, but there's a hard-heartedness there that's very strange. So how did he take it, though?
He just yelled louder and thought it was funny.
It is kind of funny. We should get rid of the third of jobs. Well, I want to make a confession because I logged in at 9:30 last night as well.
Oh, and then you still slept?
And yeah, actually I did pretty good. So I logged in at 9:30, and for the merest moment, when Yes was up, I thought, I really would like for people to live under what they're about to do.
Mm-hmm.
You want justice.
I want them to live without an oil industry in the state of Alaska, a vibrant, growing, productive, healthy oil industry, just to see what Alaska looked like when I was born here.
Mm-hmm. That's
I would
right.
love for them to live as they say that they want to. They're stealing from us. Okay, well, we won't steal from you anymore. We're going to go down to North Dakota. And so Amanda Coyne's prediction, that her suggestion was, well, then things will crash, and then we will work things out and figure out what the right thing to do is. For the merest moment, I honestly was thinking, no, maybe this is what the state of Alaska deserves.
You can have it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then all these billions of dollars would have just fled the state. We would have massive unemployment. Lots of people would leave. Our housing prices would go into the floor.
You ever read the Old Testament?
Mm-hmm.
You ever read it?
A time or two.
You ever read it?
Yes.
Yeah. It is the story of the Israelis. They're under the reign of the Pharaoh in Egypt, and he just, they're slaves. They got no freedom. They're oppressed. And God delivers Israelis by splitting the Red Sea. You've heard the story. We've all heard the story. Literally, the ocean opens up, and the Israelis walk through the ocean, and then as they get through to the other side, all the Egyptian soldiers chasing them, the ocean closes back up and kills them. So they're delivered, right? And now they're in the desert, and there's this cloud, which represents God's presence, that walks with them every day, and God gives them manna every day, fresh manna they haven't made. And within a very short period of time, they're all belly aching.
Mm-hmm.
They want more. They don't like this manna. They want more manna. They want different manna. I don't like this manna. I mean, God opened the freaking ocean for them.
Mm-hmm.
People are so ungrateful by nature. Mobs. There's nothing. That's why I hate unions. I don't hate unions. I hate the union mentality. This mob rule. This let's get everybody stirred up. I've covered so many union stories as a reporter. So many union rallies, and it's always us against them. They're taking advantage of us. They're taking advantage of us. We're victims. We got to stand up to them. They're oppressing us. That's this mentality. It's our oil mentality. These oil companies they're here to rape and pillage Alaska and leave us with nothing. We've got to stand up to them. It's our oil. That mob mentality.
Yeah. You know, I thought about the yes on one vote, and if we had voted yes on one, unions essentially would have been the only game in town in the state. And I really think that's what they saw, that they would have been completely in charge. Mm-hmm. Even though the state was on a path toward total financial disaster and destruction, they would have been the captain of the ship for as long as the ship was going.
Yes, because government would have run everything.
And they saw that. So even though it would have been devastating to the average family.
Doesn't matter. They're in charge.
It doesn't matter. They're in charge because they are good people.
Well,
their cause is just, and they would have been, even if damage would have been done, because they intended good things, they're still better at running an economy than the private sector.
The guy I ran into yesterday who said, I'm voting yes. IBEW member.
IBEW. Union member.
It's about and look, if you can kill the private sector, it grows the government sector. And the only place where the unions are strong today is in the government sector. The government sector and unions have joined hands, and they are marching forward, aligned and unified, to advance the government sector and to minimize the private sector. That's what It's Our Oil crowd is about. And to have people like Eddie Burke and Sarah Palin fall for that, look, I don't mind you being Bill Wielechowski, who's all about unions and hates the private sector.
He works for them.
But he's right in supporting Prop 1. He was right because it would have helped his agenda. But dimwits who think they're conservative supporting it, those people just outrage me.
Now, I agree with you. You're absolutely right. But those people have to be saved at some point. They have to come back home in believing that we're in a partnership with the oil industry. Sourdough's no, big oil's MO. Well, here's my belief, Sarah Palin, if I may. I believe big oil's MO is to invest in places that want them there, where they can get a good return on their money, and that they're not going to be threatened every other day with massive increases in oil taxes. I believe that's their MO.
Here's the good news. Sarah Palin can hurt us no more. Not since the beginning of the inception of this state has any one individual caused more damage to our state than Sarah Heath Palin. But I'm not going to say the Wicked Witch is dead because that's too strong. But this woman cannot hurt us anymore. Her last push to destroy our economy died last night. And she's discredited. Her disapproval ratings are through the roof. Finally, we have rid ourselves of this menace to our economy.
Aces, Aegea, now Prop 1. 3 in a row.
644.
Fagan and Biegel on the Talk of the Valley, KBNT, and online at 1020kbnt.com.
As you drive the 2014 C-Class sports sedan and feel the agility control suspension lean expertly into a bend, you're not just turning a corner, you're turning a page. Because it's at that moment you discover the C-Class has left your old notions about a sports sedan far behind. With its direct injection engine, the C-Class delivers both superior efficiency and power, giving you an electrifying experience that exists only behind the wheel of one of the most stylish and luxurious automobiles of its kind. The 2014 C-Class rewrites the book on what a sports sedan can be. Get the 2014 C300 4MATIC Sports Sedan starting at just $39,400.
MSRP for a 2014 C300 4MATIC Sports Sedan excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. See dealer for details.
Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
Who was the last Alaska governor to see 16,000 new jobs created on his watch? Was it Wally Hickel? Jay Hammond? Bill Egan? The last governor to see 16,000 new jobs is our current governor, Sean Parnell. Alaska is in the middle of a jobs boom. When Parnell took office, the Alaska economy has produced some 16,000 new jobs. Coming. Listen to Huffman, president of a trucking company in Fairbanks.
This year we are buying new trucks, hiring new people. I could put 20 truck drivers to work tomorrow if we could find them. I give the credit to Governor Parnell.
Alaska's on track. The new Alaska job and Parnell became governor. That's why Parnell 2014, Fox 100.
And Biegel, weekday mornings from 6 to 9 a.m. on the Talk of the Valley. NT.
6:47. That's the time. Glad you're here. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. Give our friends at Earhart Roofing a call. If you need a roof, you need some repairs to your roof, you need a new roof installed, whether it's residential, commercial, industrial. They're the team in town to make it happen. Earhart Roofing, their premier roofing service, comes with a 50-year warranty. 50 years. They have 17 trucks, 60 employees. They've been in business 42 years. But I would suggest you go and do business with Frank and Becky because of Frank and Becky and their son, James. The Earhart family is a great family. Love this country, very patriotic, very involved. They don't sit on the sidelines. They understand that in these days and times, politics can no longer just be a spectator sport. They get involved. Go ahead and visit with Becky in the office. She's great to talk to. Earhart Roofing, it's a big deal, your roof. You know, it rains every once in a while. Snows too. You got to have a strong roof in Alaska. And the folks at Earhart Roofing can hook you up. Here's the number, 345-5555. 345-5555. I want to remind you that tomorrow we're going to be at a different address. We're going to be 95.1 on FM. Right, Brian? Is that right? 95.1?
Yeah, I'm moving down the dial just a little bit.
We're already on 4 spots. We're on 95.5 FM in Anchorage, 92.1, 92.5 in the Valley, KVNT. We're on 1020 AM in the Valley, and we're on 1080 AM in Anchorage. So tomorrow, starting at, oh no, it's today.
Today at 9, yeah.
The one of our locations, the 95.5, we're moving to 95.1, which, by the way, is a much stronger signal.
Yep.
And so you'll be able to get us much clearer, 95.1, from 95.5 to 95.1. So watch for that. Now, Bonnie Cameron, you were down at Election Central last night. There's Glen Biegel. He's right over there. Glenn and I were way too old to stay up that late, but you ran into our friend Little Billy McAllister.
I'm not sure you should use that name anymore.
Oh, why did you say that? What?
He is really hurt by something that you've done, Dan. I don't know, but he's hurt. I can tell. I can hear it in his voice, and I can see it on his face. He is hurt. That man needs some intervention.
What was he hurt?
Well, I was sitting right next to him, and I introduced myself, and we chatted for a few minutes, and he found out I was on, yours and Glenn's show, and he said, "Oh, yeah, that Dan, he and I, we've got a past." And And he said, we don't get along.
Well, I have nothing against him.
He's hurt.
What's he hurt
I
by?
said, Dan talked about it a little bit on the show the other day, and he's apologized to quite a few people. Well, he hasn't apologized to me.
Well, I don't know that. I said yesterday.
You said you wanted to do it in a personal way. You didn't want to do it on
I wanted to
air.
apologize. Look.
Oh. You want to work things out.
I have very few strong points, but one strong point is I'm pretty good at apologizing.
Sure.
I've already apologized to you a couple times.
Yes, and I've only been here a month.
Right.
So.
I'm not afraid to apologize, but I think my coverage of Bill McAllister was accurate and was not below the belt. I suppose calling him Little Billy, and the only reason I call him that is because he takes himself so seriously.
Yeah, he is pretty serious.
He's a very serious man.
Yes.
So I just think it's kind of funny to call him Little Billy because he's such a serious man.
And see, now he's going to be mad at me.
Why?
So, I don't know, because I told.
But I think it was
Little Billy.
Eddie calls him that.
Who?
Didn't Eddie call him that?
Eddie calls him Little Billy.
Yeah.
But I think it's legitimate, my analysis of his job as a reporter for Channel 2 being so favorable to Sarah Palin when she was governor, and then the fact that he hit her up for a job while he was covering her as a reporter, and then he got the job after months of favorable coverage. That's a legitimate story for a talk show host to cover.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I owe him an apology for that. Now, if he thinks he was okay and giving Palin the most favorable coverage in the history of mankind, then hitting her up for a job while covering her, he thinks that's okay, and I shouldn't have talked about that, then we have a disagreement.
Didn't you even say back then that he was bringing her brownies or something like that?
He did.
Oh, okay.
He brought her brownies.
I can't believe I remember that.
Yeah, he brought her brownies.
How do I get brownies out of the deal? I don't care about Little Billy. I want brownies.
So, I've apologized to Lisa Murkowski. I've apologized to April and Art Hackney. I've apologized to Governor Parnell. I think I owe Sarah Palin an apology. She won't see me. And there are people that I have, lots of people I've apologized to.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really believe that I crossed the line with Little Billy.
Well, Little Billy might need some, I don't know, a little hug or something. I felt so bad for him.
Well, did he really seem hurt?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Little Billy.
I wanted to, comfort him.
Poor Little Billy.
It's actually not helping, Dan.
No.
It's making it worse.
It's like talking about cooking naked.
Oh, yeah, Stoltz is another guy.
I saw him last night. He was there.
And, I don't feel bad about talking about that's not that bad a deal, cooking naked. When I reported to Bill Stoltz baked naked, he got furious. Why is that such a big deal? I bathe naked.
I don't know, but every time we talk about this, I just have a feeling it's getting worse and worse.
How is that such a big deal to say someone bakes naked? I'm not attacking his character.
Well, I think it's kind of going along the lines with handcuffing journalists. It's not really true, but it sounds fun.
He was in his underwear.
Well, that's the amended.
There was a barrier.
That's the official version. By the way, I want to congratulate my good friend Anand.
I was so happy to see that.
Hey.
Oh, I was so happy to see that.
Now, I got a question for you, and this is real.
Anand Dubé running against
Matt Fignani.
And he was this is former Lindsey Holmes seat.
Yeah. We're going to be running against Matt Clayman, a very, very capable left-wing candidate.
Your candidate's Big Buddy. And Meade Treadwell's a heavy supporter of Matt Clayman.
That's right. So, I didn't vote for Meade Treadwell, by the way.
You didn't?
No.
Well, who'd you go with?
Joe. I did.
He did the right thing in the end.
Well, I ended up throwing up my hands because after Meade blew it, you can't call somebody a racist, and say that you're going to keep the coalition together, which blew out my primary reason why I thought he was conservative and I thought he had the best chance to win. So that's why I was going to vote for him. But in the end, he blew that at the debate. But that's a pretty big deal. And I think he lost 5-7 points.
Easy.
Right at the end.
Easy. That's the most. People don't understand how powerful Channel 2 is. There's nothing more important than a Channel 2 debate. Nothing as a candidate. Everybody watches the Channel 2 debate. And to have a Republican candidate for office accuse another Republican candidate of the race card, you might as well just quit right there.
You had 4 people call up the show who changed their vote.
Yeah.
I talked to people personally who said, I thought I knew what I was going to do. I watched that debate. I changed my vote. It changed my view.
When you think about it, Glenn, there was already the suspicion that he was acting like a fake conservative. So he had that to overcome.
Yeah.
And then you throw that race card out there. Oh, okay. So he's not a conservative. Because us conservatives, we know the language. You know, when Matt Clayman or Paul Hahnemann get on there and run as conservatives, we can smell that a mile away. Because we believe it. We live this stuff. And so when someone tries to put a fake act on us, we're pretty good about picking that up. You got to keep listening. Just a little comment here, a little comment there. And he couldn't hold it out. He couldn't hold that act out to the end.
I don't think he would have gotten even as many votes as he did if more people watched all the debates or watched even just a few of them and not just one.
Yeah.
So anyway, you couldn't guarantee that he was a conservative at the point that he accuses another conservative of being a racist, rather than pinning it on Mark Begich, which is what he should have done.
Yeah.
So since you couldn't be sure he was a conservative, and he had broken the coalition, right? Because Joe Miller supporters are going to say, "What are you talking about? You can't accuse me of being a racist, and then all of a sudden, now I'm going to go vote for you." So then he broke the coalition. So obviously, he wasn't the easiest candidate to elect at that point. So I had to change it. I went in over Joe.
No, the real big test for Joe and his political future, and I know you'll agree with me on this, Glenn, is how active he campaigns for Sullivan.
Yeah.
How involved he is. Now, Sullivan may not want, because Miller has very high negatives, so he's going to have to pick his spots. You know, you can't do commercials that are going to run him in the general public. But if Joe goes to the Tea Party meetings and to the conservative patriot groups and these kind of groups, Bonnie's people, and tell them, look, we got to get Sullivan in there. We got to get Sullivan there. That's going to be a real test for him.
Well, I think there's even a greater test because he has more latitude than just to go to the altar of Dan Sullivan and say, okay, you have my unconditional support. What he should do, and this is what Alaska Right to Life did with Frank Murkowski, is say, I want to support you. I want to make sure that we're clear on these few things. This is what I'm asking you for, and I will do everything I can in order to get you elected. I want to make sure you're solid on the following issues. That's what I would do if Joe Miller did that, because it's not meaningful to go to a Tea Party person and say, I'm Joe Miller and I was just running against this guy, but here's my arm around him and now he's great. That's not good enough. That doesn't work.
Don't forget, tomorrow, those of you listening to us on FM 95.5 in Anchorage, we're moving down the dial to a much stronger signal, 95.1 FM, 6:58 is the time. 6:58 is the time.
Located dental practice. They accept.
Introducing Alaska's first
I'm Dave Anthony. Who is the executioner dressed and masked in black? That's what the U.S. is trying to figure out, studying the video of kidnapped American journalist James Foley beheaded by his Israel strikes may have hit a very key target. Fox News Radio's Emily Wither, live in Tel Aviv.
Israeli intelligence sources have told Fox News they believe the chief of Hamas's military wing was killed in an assassination attempt last night in Gaza City. But Hamas is denying Mohammed Dev has died. Inside Gaza, hundreds attended the funeral of his wife and son who were in the house at the time. Since the ceasefire collapsed, there have been more than 130 rockets fired at Israel, and the Israelis have conducted over 80 airstrikes. Dave?
Illinois Attorney General Eric Holder will go to Ferguson, Missouri in about an hour to talk to investigators probing the shooting death of a black teen by a white police officer. Protests in Ferguson last night were smaller and calmer with 47 arrests. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Did you know by age 50, half of all men have an enlarged prostate? This means more urges to urinate, longer bathroom trips, waking at night to urinate, or issues with intimacy. If this sounds familiar, call us now, because we're shipping free bottles of Super Beta Prostate to listeners of this station. Super Beta Prostate is a non-prescription formula guaranteed to reduce the symptoms of your enlarged prostate. It's yours free. Pay only shipping and handling. Just call 1-800-739-8212. In clinical trials, the ingredient in Super Beta Prostate was shown to reduce urges to urinate, improve bladder emptying, reduce waking at night to urinate, and improve quality of life. This Super Beta Prostate free offer is for listeners of this station, but it won't last. Don't wait. Just call 1-800-739-8212. That's 1-800-739-8212. Call 1-800-739-8212.
Trail Boss Solutions is an Alaskan-owned, nationally recognized top 500 construction and remodel firm. From our handyman services to our award-winning kitchen design and remodel, Trail Boss Solutions is fully licensed, bonded, and insured, and has the experienced professionals to take your project from initial design through completion on time and on budget. Please visit us on the web at trailboss-solutions.com or contact Trail Boss Solutions Direct at 646-1403.
Who was the last Alaska governor to see 16,000 new jobs created on his watch? Was it Wally Hickel, Jay Hammond, Bill Egan? The last governor to see 16,000 new jobs is our current governor, Sean Parnell. Alaska is in the middle of a jobs boom. Since Sean Parnell took office, the Alaska economy has produced some 16,000 new jobs. And you can bet there are more jobs coming. Listen to Jim Huffman, president of a trucking company in Fairbanks.
This year we are buying new trucks, hiring new people. I could put 20 truck drivers to work tomorrow if we could find them. I give the credit to Governor Parnell.
Alaska's economy is back on track. 16,000 new Alaska jobs since Sean Parnell became our governor. That's why Parnell 2014. Box 100719, Anchorage, paid for this message.
Did you know that one of the state's premier medical facilities is located right in the heart of South Anchorage? Thanks to the Alaska Neurology Center, there's no need to leave Alaska anymore when it comes to treating the nervous system. You'll receive the best care at the Alaska Neurology Center for epilepsy, cerebral palsy, brain injuries, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, Huntington's disease, multiple sclerosis, speech disorders, and they offer pain management as well. And if you're having trouble sleeping at night, the Alaska Neurology Center has the best sleep disorder experts in the state. They also have the most sophisticated MRI imaging technology in Alaska. If you need relief from stress or from migraines, relax in their luxurious spa. At the Alaska Neurology Center, their massage therapists are amazing. And they offer hydrotherapy, infrared sauna, hot and cold therapy, and shiatsu massage. And their medical spa also offers facials and waxing. The Alaska Neurology Center, located on Diamond and Old Seward.
What if buying your next car could actually be enjoyable? At Payless Car Sales, we believe it should be. If you're in the market for your next car, come by and meet our knowledgeable staff and explore our selection of quality vehicles. We offer military discounts, and we give all of our customers Carfax history reports. We can also provide warranties and handle all of your lending needs. Just like driving your car should be enjoyable, so should buying it. Visit us downtown at 919 East 5th Avenue or on our website at paylesssales.com. Payless Car Sales, where Alaskans drive.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel.
Department of Revenue, and aired by ABA and this station.
Fagan, Biegel. Weekdays, 6 to 9 a.m.
The talk of the
6 minutes past 7 o'clock. Fagan, Glen Bonnie, Election Day wrap up. Love to hear from you. How'd you vote? Anything surprise you? 569-1080, 569-1080. Here's an email from Bud G at MTA. He's from MTA, so he's a Valley dude. He says, I will only vote for Joe Miller in the general election, regardless of the primary results. Why would I vote for a Republican rat person when a couple of years ago the Republican rat party said it is going to purge Christians from the party? The Alaska Republican rats are corrupt as they can be. People don't understand. The USA is like a human on dope. We can keep trying to get it off the dope, but sometimes we must just let the doper bottom out and hope it doesn't kill him. Vote principles always, not sleaze. Bonnie, what do you think of that? Were you?
You know, I agree with him in a lot of ways, and that's his opinion. You know, he can vote the way he wants to vote, or not vote the way he wants to vote.
Let Biegel take the country to hell in a handbasket.
There's a lot of people who believe that, and Dan Sullivan needs to take them seriously.
How do you take someone with that logic seriously? Let's destroy the country so maybe someday we'll turn it around. Do you understand?
The country is destroying itself.
Do you understand that the way that a totalitarian comes in is when the country is in rubble and ruins? That's how tyranny rises up.
Dan Sullivan's going to have to stand on his principles. I would suggest that he hire Joe Miller as his debate coach.
Yeah.
That's what he needs to do.
We're talking about the mentality. Let's vote for Biegel so the country will come into total ruins economically wise.
It's not voting for Biegel. It's not voting for somebody who's going to go in there and
what?
Just be mediocre and not stand on principle.
So when you don't vote for Sullivan, you vote for Biegel. So you vote for Biegel. He and his friend Harry Reid and Barack Obama accelerate the destruction of our nation until it is in total ruins. And then somehow we will rise up from the ashes and resurrect ourselves into a great country. Normally, history teaches us that is the perfect opportunity for a tyrant to walk in. Fidel Castro.
There's a lot of us who believe
Adolf Hitler.
There's a lot of us who believe that that's going to happen anyway, and it's hard to slide slowly back. No, it's hard to slide slowly back than just let it happen quickly. Maybe it might have to just collapse and start all over again.
But there is no starting all over again. That's when a tyrant comes in, because people are weak. They want comfort over freedom. They want security over freedom. And if you can promise people who are starving that you will feed them, they will give their freedom up in a heartbeat. Do you understand that concept?
I understand that a lot of it's happening already. So I see his point.
So give up?
No. I will most likely vote for Dan Sullivan.
Most likely?
I am so glad I didn't vote for Lisa Murkowski. Yes, we had Joe Miller, but I am so glad.
Night and day.
I do not want to be responsible for another milquetoast politician to go.
So your premise is that Sullivan and Biegel are the same?
No, I did not say
then
that.
Why would you consider
voting? I wouldn't
voting?
consider voting for Sullivan if I thought they were the same.
So let me ask you. Got to go through a few things here, because there is a fundamental difference that's going on, and this is something that I think I learned here recently, and it was through the economic discussions about we can't print $1 trillion; it will destroy the United States. It hasn't destroyed the United States. It's been printing trillions of dollars year after year after year after year. There was something wrong with what I was saying, and what I realized that this country is so much better, so much more powerful. The ideas that found this country are so much bigger than it has to be perfect or it won't exist at all. A lot of people who are my friends who are conservatives believe if we don't have a perfect country, if we don't live exactly by the dictates of the Constitution, we do not have something that I'm interested in saving. We have never lived by the dictates of the Constitution. It started in 1821, and you can probably look at it and go back even further than that. It might have started in 1799. We don't live by the dictates of the Constitution. We still have a great country. It's still worth saving. There's still something special here. So the idea that unless you're perfect, well, then this country's not worth saving. I don't believe that anymore. And I know, and I'll give you 4 reasons why you will vote, and I think that you will not throw your vote away. The Supreme Court. You know that we're 1 vote away.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes.
Does Bud know that?
Yes, he does.
I don't think Bud does.
He does.
Bud thinks the Republican Party wants to rid the nation of Christians. I mean, that's what he says in his email. You weren't listening because you read your book. But he said, I'm not going to vote for a party that said it wants to
I have his email, too.
Rid the nation of Christians. You know this guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, you start with the Supreme Court. That's one of the keys, and that's one of the things that we really are fighting for. Second is Harry Reid. You've got to vote for somebody who's not going to allow Harry Reid, because if Harry Reid's there, we can't get Anwar.
Mm-hmm.
If Harry Reid's there...
We're not getting Anwar anyway. We haven't gotten Anwar in decades.
You are so defeated.
We're so close.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Here's the
we
thing.
We were 1 vote away.
We were 1 vote away.
And we got Anwar. Clinton vetoed it.
Not only that, not only were we 1 vote away...
Oh, my goodness.
But the nation is in much worse shape now than it was back then. So while people could sort of ignore the fact that we didn't really need to be energy independent, gas was a lot less expensive, families had a lot more disposable income, they don't anymore. We absolutely need an energy renaissance in this country.
See, here's the problem.
You got the
Bonnie,
Supreme Court, Harry Reid, and energy
a product
renaissance.
Of talk radio, of which product of talk radio, of which I was a chief culprit. Talk radio preaches doom and gloom. This country, by far, at this point, with all of our problems, has a better chance of an amazing future than any country in the history of mankind. We have more going for us, even with all of our entitlement culture and our weak president and Harry Reid and the erosion of the American family and the destruction of the American family and the abortion death culture. Even with all that, we still have a better, brighter future than any country in the history of mankind. And Glenn, you were so articulate. It is still worth fighting for. And just throw our hands up and let's elect Mark Begich so we can get to the place where every other country that crumbled gets to, and maybe then we'll resurrect ourselves, is as asinine as voting for Prop 1. It's a total defeatist. I got no faith in anything. I have no hope. I don't believe in my country. I don't believe in the people of my country. And let's just give up attitude. It is ridiculous. And Bonnie, I know why you've adopted that, because of people like me and others who preach this doom and gloom for decades on talk radio. But I'm telling you, we have got a great country. The message that Glenn just preached was dead on. We are still worth saving. We are still worth fighting for.
I'm not saying we're not worth fighting for.
Yes, you
are. I just
are.
want to know how.
Well, no, you're saying let us crumble.
Be specific. What are we doing that's so great? Because I do see us going down.
Dan Sullivan's going to give you some of those. It's his job to tell you what he wants to do. And I think if you listen, well, see, but if you start out with, then we don't have a chance. You know, you got to listen to him.
He better tell us.
Okay.
Fagan. You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning.
Herb, Alaska Sausage made some lemon pepper smoked salmon for me last year. That was wonderful. Do you have other flavors as well?
We have several smoking options for you. In addition to the kippet, you can add some special seasonings. For instance, our lemon pepper and Cajun are very popular.
Herb, I want your recommendation. Which of your products do you like best?
Well, I really like the variety we have. I love our kippet salmon, but my favorite is still our cold smoked lux. It is served in some of the finest restaurants in Alaska. I also want to mention our smoked halibut. It has a delicious flavor.
Alaska Sausage and Seafood is the place, 2914 Arctic Boulevard.
Just tell them Herb sent you.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel.
By your friends at Alaska Integrated Media.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning on the Talk of the Valley, KVNT.
All right, 7:17 is the time. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. Listen, folks, it's a big deal what you drive. Spend a lot of time in your vehicle. Obviously, in the winter in Alaska, you want something reliable. It's going to start every morning. Got a good heater going. Payless Car Sales, Ali Sheik. You're just not going to do any better than Payless Car Sales. Ali Sheik is a guy who absolutely understands the concept of value. And he understands you work hard for your money, and you don't want to spend more of it than you have to for transportation. Ali Sheik has a great eye for a vehicle with value, and he will pass that value on to you if you go see him at Payless Car Sales. He's on 5th Avenue, 919 East 5th Avenue. Great selection, great customer service. They're not going to pressure you. It's an enjoyable, family-friendly experience. Ali Sheik, Payless Car Sales. Again, 919 East 5th Avenue, Payless Car Sales. Well, Bonnie, I appreciate you admitting that. I mean, so you're angry, you're a little bitter, you're a little.
It's the day after the election. My guy lost. This is how you would be feeling had my guy won. You would have kind of a defeatist attitude. Oh, I mean, you did before the primary even. If Joe Miller wins, Mark Begich has won. So, do you see my point? I feel the same way about Dan Sullivan that you would have felt about Joe Miller.
I would have been comfortable with any of the three as senators.
No, but you were already saying that Joe Miller lost before he even had a chance to win.
I would have been comfortable with any three of the senators. But my focus is getting rid of Harry Reid and Barack Obama.
And I'm not saying I'm not voting for Dan Sullivan. So we're the same.
But my focus is getting rid of Mark Begich and Harry Reid.
Mine too.
And I believe that Mark Begich would have easily defeated Joe
Miller. But my contention is that I think Joe Miller could have beat Mark Begich. I'm a little worried about Dan Sullivan. Yeah. He needs to stand his ground, know his issues, be able to defend his issues to us, to the people who are on the fence, and not positive about him. You know, there's a lot of anybody but Begich's. I think he'll probably do okay. But
I think he'll beat Begich by double digits.
Oh, well, maybe. We'll see. You thought that, he beat Joe Miller by double digits too, and he didn't.
No, that's because a lot of Begich supporters voted for him.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do people really go to that much trouble?
Oh, that much trouble? It's the most important vote of our lifetime. What are you kidding me? You don't think Begich is smart enough to get people to go vote for Joe Miller in a primary? I told you when he called me when I was coming back into town, all he did was pump up Joe Miller. You're going to support him, right, Dan? You think he's a good candidate? Well, you don't think Begich has been working tirelessly, 12-hour days, trying to get people to jump toward Joe Miller in the primary? Every commercial he ran, me Treadwell, Dan Sullivan, me Treadwell, Dan Sullivan. Bonnie, seriously, you don't think Begich was going to do everything he could to get Joe Miller elected?
You thought it was all about the money.
What?
Begich is going to have a lot more money than Sullivan because so many people are desperate for him to stay there in D.C. They know that he'll do whatever they tell him to do, true. And they'll give the money like crazy.
Sullivan's going to have plenty of money.
Yeah, but Begich will have more.
Maybe because he's an incumbent, but Sullivan will have enough in this state where it's not that expensive to run a campaign.
He's already talking about Dan Sullivan's having talking points. That's what Dan Sullivan's known for. It's just talking points, no substance. He needs to tell us why he believes what he believes. I mean, that's like me. It's hard for me to tell people why I believe what I believe. But I'm just a regular voter. He's running for 1 of 100.
Bonnie, Mark Begich is like a 6-year-old child Dan Sullivan is an accomplished adult. You cannot compare these two individuals. Dan Sullivan has been in the Marines. He has led men in battle. He has gone to Ivy League schools. He's been a state attorney general. He's been a Department of Natural Resources commissioner. He has advanced the cause of the pipeline. He fixed Sarah Palin's mess. What has Mark Begich done? He graduated high school. There is no comparison between these two men.
He's
None.
already there. He's already so embedded.
That's because the guy he ran against was indicted and convicted
I agree.
2 weeks prior
Totally
to his
agree.
election.
Yes.
You put him against anybody of any substance, which Dan Sullivan, in my opinion, has more substance than anybody ever to run office in Alaska ever when it comes to results and accomplishments. Begich is going to get his butt kicked. I know that's going to disappoint you.
I hope so.
I don't think you do.
No, I do. I hope so.
I don't think you do.
No, I do. I hope so. But I really, my point is good for Dan Sullivan. He needs to step it up.
I don't think he does. I think he's going to win this easily.
I think Dan Sullivan's job right now is to tell us who he is, what he believes about this country, and make sure that and help us understand that he's conservative. That's his job. That's what I'd like to see. And I think that's what he'll do. I think he's a conservative man. I mean, I think his beliefs about this country are that we are a country of greatness, that we have a special place in this world.
Can you explain to me, Bonnie or Glenn, how that Bonnie Cameron has not yet decided if she's going to vote for Dan Sullivan?
I already said I was.
I thought you said you're contemplating it.
No.
But she's in motion just like everybody else.
In motion?
Dan,
between a full-blown communist?
She has been out holding signs. She has been working hundreds of hours for Joe Miller. Do you understand that she has a personal attachment to the conservatism and the conservative message? And what you came out and said is, Bonnie, you're just going to have to vote for him. He doesn't have to speak to you. He's got to speak to other people. So you've written off. Nobody can do that. Dan Sullivan can't write off his conservative base. He can't write off Joe Miller supporters, and that's exactly the wrong thing for him to do. What he should tell us is who he is. He should let us know how he approaches issues. He should make us conservatives feel comfortable. He should make libertarians feel comfortable. He should make common sense independents feel comfortable. And with those three people, all at the same time, he will wipe Mark Begich off the map and be who he is, which is what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be who he is.
He doesn't have to do anything. The contrast between Mark Begich and Dan Sullivan is so wide and deep that, frankly, I don't care what Dan Sullivan believes at this point, because he's not even a gazillion miles within the full-blown communist that Mark Begich is.
That's because you already know what he believes. He's comforted you. He's let you know
what
who
he
is.
He told us all what he believes.
I want to make sure he's for limited government and pro-life. He's already convinced me on pro-life.
He wants an immediate freeze on all regulations.
And I believe he's for limited government. So he's already won my vote. He's met my minimum qualifications. He's met my minimum requirements. He hasn't met Bonnie's yet. I'm not saying that she can't have different ones than me. He's got to run a race just like everybody's got to run a race. I want him to be the most conservative person he could possibly be.
What do you need?
As far as I'm concerned, he's got my vote. I just want him to I really want him to convince other people, and I don't think he's doing a very good job of it.
He just won the election.
He hasn't told us very much.
He just won the election by a wide margin.
His stances.
What are you talking about? He just smoked Joe Miller and Meade Treadwell.
He better not smoke anybody.
You guys
he
have
better
got,
go out
you
and
have
argue.
got me scared about Begich beating him. Because you guys have interviewed Begich. I have not. I've never really talked to the guy.
Slick.
So
smooth.
Really, you're really have scared me when it comes to Begich going up against Sullivan.
Yeah. In the debate format, you mean?
I don't care how slick Begich is.
Going back and forth in the news media.
Mark Begich is coming to this election with a dismal, horrific record. Totally aligned with Barack Obama. He has nothing to run on. He has nothing he can say. Mark Begich can be slick, but when you start pointing out the failures of his record, no one's that slick. No one's slick enough to overcome that.
But the media is not going to show any of that.
Well, that's why the campaign's going to spend $3 million. That's why Sullivan's people are going to spend $3 million.
You know, all I know is that I came from Election Central a few hours ago, and I saw Begich's and French's supporters and the Yes on One people, and they're parading around and their mob mentality.
Well, let me tell you, Bonnie, the election central is typically dominated by left.
Well, yeah,
most people
it was
who are
a little
conservative stay
defeating.
at home.
They love to get out there. They love to march, and they love to make noise because that's when they can make noise, not in the legislature and not in any other elected
And
situation.
as an Alaskan who grew up here, born and raised, I have seen true conservative people here most of my life. I'm not seeing it as much anymore, and it does worry me.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people who are greenies and bumper stickers,
They
greenie
moved
bumper
up here
stickers.
in droves.
Well, it's not just that. It's people who are in their 20s now.
Yes.
Who maybe were born and raised in Alaska, but they've been indoctrinated through our public school system and
Yes.
university system, and now they've become leftists. We have to understand that our public education system is a factory-producing leftist machine. I mean, they are producing leftists in droves.
Yeah.
And unless you as a parent deprogram your child or homeschool them, like Bonnie does, it's a problem.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, I'd like to give one paragraph out of the story from the News Miner, and I don't know that I have
What story is it?
time to do it. It's about Mark Begich. The title of it is "Embattled Senator Begich's Secret Weapon."
Why don't we save that?
Alaska, and I want to read this paragraph when we have time.
Yeah, we'll do that.
It gives you an indication of how weak Mark Begich really is, because if this is the best argument he could come up with, it's pretty laughable. This is going to be a big watershed election, I think, across the country, here in Alaska too. But that does not mean that Sullivan should skate through this election. I think he needs to work hard. I think he needs to work across the state. I think he needs to help sew this state together. We saw in the yes on one, no on one, how fractured we are.
Did you know that Alaska's premier medical center is located right in the heart of South Anchorage on Diamond and Old Sword? The Alaska Neurology Center, it's in the old Borders bookstore. They taken that bookstore and turned it into just an amazing,
beautiful
facility.
It's amazing.
Great place. Any kind of neurological disorder you may have, they're the experts. No longer have to leave the state to get treatment for any kind of neurological disorder. And they also at the Alaska Neurology Center help you if you don't sleep at night. They've got several rooms set up to watch you and to study you as you sleep, and you'll come out of there for the first time in your life experiencing a good night's sleep. And we've had folks tell us that it blows them away. When they wake up refreshed, it's a different life for them. Alaska Neurology Center. Here's their number, 565-6000, 565-6000. All right, our time, 7:29. Tomorrow, at 9 a.m. this morning, we're going to go from 95.5 to 95.1 on the FM dial in Anchorage. Much more powerful signal. We're changing our address, 95.5 to 95.1 FM in Anchorage, 7:29. FM in Anchorage, 7:29.
Fagan and Biegel. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9 a.m. on the Talk of the Valley, KVNT. Online at 1020kvnt.com.
This is Charles White with your Matsu Report. Unofficial results on Measure 1 suggest Alaska voters have decided not to repeal oil tax breaks. 53% voted no in Tuesday's referendum, while 47% said yes to the repeal ballot question. With most precincts reporting early polling results suggested Republican primary candidates for U.S. Senate finishing in this order: Sullivan, Miller, and then Treadwell. Congressional candidates Young and Dunbar appear to have earned their party's nominations. Byron Mallett will challenge Governor Parnell, while voters this fall will choose between local mayor Dan Sullivan and state senator Hollis French to serve as lieutenant governor. Former Rep. Bill Stoltz of Chugach won the District F state Senate Republican primary, while Kathy Tilton will represent her party in the House District 12 race. Other primary winners for upcoming House District races include Jim Culver, Don Hadley, Jaron Tarr, Annan Doobie, and Liz Vasquez. KVNT, the talk of the valley.
Mostly sunny skies with a shower in spots for today. High 67. Clear skies tonight, low 50. For tomorrow, mostly sunny and nice. High Thursday, 68. Tomorrow night, low 54. Friday, sunshine and clouds, high 65. Saturday, high 66. If the Valley's talking, you'll hear it here. KBNT Valley News Talk 92.5 FM and 1020 AM.
You gotta play to win. Don't miss your chance. The $30,000 Alaska Lottery Cash Sweepstakes is here. The drawing will be held September 1st at the Alaska State Fair. The grand prize is $20,000 cash, and there are 6 other chances to win. Second place gets $5,000, and the remaining winners get $1,000 each. Tickets are only $5, or better yet, get 6 for $20. It's like getting 2 tickets for free. Charitable gaming raises millions of dollars for statewide nonprofit organizations, such as the Alaska Peace Officers Association. Get your tickets today at the new Tudor Bingo Center at 1436 East Tudor Road, Tudor Charity Tabs at 343 West Benson, or the Alaska Lottery Kiosk on the first floor of the 5th Avenue Mall. Tickets will also be available at the Alaska Lottery booth inside Raven Hall at the Alaska State Fair. You don't have to be present to win, but you gotta play to win. Brought to you by Alaska Peace Officers Association and the Alaska Lottery.
Introducing Alaska's first premier valet parking service, Alaska Park. It's stress-free, worry-free, and they'll even save you a few bucks on airport parking. No more rushing to the airport, searching for a spot to park in, hauling luggage, and hoping that you're not late. Alaska Park is conveniently located on the corner of Spenard and International Airport Road. Only minutes to the airport, and they'll get you there faster than you can. Their customer-friendly staff will greet you at your car, load up your luggage, and deliver you in comfort and style in one of their clean new shuttles. And when you get back, simply call for the shuttle. They'll have your car running and ready for you when you get back to Alaska Park. Pick Alaska Park first for your airport parking needs. It's safe, secure, and worth it. Oh yeah, and your first stay up to 7 days is free. Reserve online at alaskapark.com or give them a call, 222-4002. Alaska Park, a TDX company.
I've got almost 6 years in the Army.
10 great years.
I joined in '06. Family really wants to be settled in one place.
I get so much experience and technical training in the Army. Now I want to turn that into a civilian career.
I'm ready to go to college now.
Get the best of both worlds in the Army National Guard. Serve your country and your community part-time while you live your life as a full-time civilian. Visit nationalguard.com or talk to your RCCC about making the transition.
Sponsored by the Alaska National Guard, aired by the Alaska Broadcasters Association and this station.
There's a great place in Midtown where you can enjoy a cold beer and shoot a game of pool without all the noise. The Anchorage Billiard Palace. Meet your friends for a game or stop by and enjoy a friendly challenge. At the Anchorage Billiard Palace, you'll find the finest tables in all of Anchorage. It's located right next door to the Old Blue Center, 903 West Northern Lights, with a lot of parking at the entrance around the back off 27th and Arctic. If you're looking for the perfect place to hold your company's next team building event or maybe a party, the Anchorage Billiard Palace is just a place. It's not a bar with a couple of tables. At Billiard Palace, you're going to enjoy the finest in adult beverages from their full bar while you shoot a game of pool on the finest tables in all of Anchorage. The Anchorage Billiard Palace opens 7 days a week till 2:30 a.m. Sunday through Thursday and 3 in the morning on weekends. Located at 903 West Northern Lights and around the back off 27th and Arctic.
This mess voted the best shop in Anchorage not once but 6 times. Well, it's pretty simple. They offer the best warranty in the business. If they work on your Subaru, you're going to get a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on both parts and labor. That's unheard of. A&A The Shop deals exclusively with Subarus, and they also offer $35 oil changes. All their technicians are ASE certified. Call A&A The Shop for an appointment, 562-3919 in Anchorage and 696-2096 in Eagle River. Hot Talk KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan, KZNT. Fagan and Biegel, weekday mornings from 6 to 9 a.m. on the Talk.
7:54. No, that's not the time at all. Don't worry, you're not late for work. 7:35. 7:35 is the time. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. We all dream of having a retirement that is worry-free and not having to go get a second part-time job or get a part-time job to supplement our nest egg or whatever we have coming in. Well, Mike Daniels and his team at Country Financial, They're all about getting you to that retirement. It doesn't happen by accident, folks. And if you go see a country representative with their 13 locations in Alaska, they have 5 in the Valley, 5 in Anchorage, you'll get to that retirement, worry-free retirement you dreamed of. But you've got to make the right decision. Go see Mike Dino's team. Go see a country representative, Country Financial. The number 866-COUNTRY, 866-COUNTRY. Again, 13 locations in Alaska, 866-COUNTRY. Country is spelled
COUNTRY. Why do you
That's
like
never
that?
not funny. 737.
He doesn't let me spell it. He doesn't trust me. I promise you, he does not
I'm
trust me.
so worried I'm going to spell that word wrong one of these days. It's not going to come out well.
Stick an E in there and see whether or not he notices.
May I share my heart with the people?
Please do.
You know, I specifically the Joe Miller people. I feel your pain. I understand your frustration. I understand the hopelessness that you are experiencing this morning. I know that you've lost faith in the Republican Party. I understand that the John Boehners and the George Bushes and the Karl Roves of the world have caused you to think that those who are fighting for the conservative movement aren't really fighting at all, and they're just kind of going along to get along. I understand that. And there is some truth to that. And I understand that you get that we cannot continue on the path that we are currently on, that we cannot continue to leverage our children's future, that we cannot continue the destructive behavior that we're exhibiting morally, character-wise, having marriage as though it's an obsolete, out-of-date prospect, allowing us to redefine marriage, allowing the radical homosexual agenda to dictate what we believe. I understand you love your country. I applaud you for your affection and your love of country, your patriotism. You're more patriotic than most Americans. I give you that. I understand it's personal for you. I understand it's about your kids. I understand it's about your grandkids and your great-grandkids. I understand all that. And I feel your pain. I am with you. But we have to be a people of hope. Nothing has ever been accomplished in any meaningful, significant way by any people or movement that have lost hope. We have to believe in ourselves as countrymen, countrywomen, if there's a word. We have to believe in our country. We have to believe in the greatness of America. We have to believe, unlike our president, in the exceptionalism of America. And we have to start believing in ourselves. And it's very easy to get frustrated with those who don't align with us perfectly, even on the Republican Party. But we've got to start thinking in terms of we're going to win. And when you're thinking in terms of we're going to win, it causes you to make decisions in the now. It causes you to make decisions when people are trying to lose weight. If they really believe they're going to lose weight, they're much more likely to eat right that day. If they really believe in their heart this weight loss is going to happen, that day, that hope will lead them to eat right that day. And the way a movement succeeds, and the freedom movement I'm talking about, is to make the right decisions that day. Oh, I've been overweight so many years, there's no way I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to go ahead and have 2 pieces of pie. That's where we are in the freedom movement today. We have lost hope. Well, let's let Mark Begich win, then the country will destruct, and then maybe something drastic will happen. We have to win today. And the next battle for the freedom movement is the U.S. Senate. We have got to take back the Senate. Every ounce of our being in the freedom movement, in the Joe Miller movement, in the Ted Cruz movement, has to be focused on one thing and one thing only: more Republicans in the Senate than Democrats. That's the next battle on the horizon. We win that, maybe the next battle is getting more conservative Republicans. But today, at this moment, the battle before us is outnumbering Democrats, even if it means with Republicans who are not as ideologically aligned with us as we would hope. But that's the battle today. So we've got to get behind Joe Miller as though he is, we have to get behind Dan Sullivan as though he is Joe Miller. He's not Joe Miller. We would like to have Joe Miller. He will not fight as hard as Joe Miller. But he's our guy now. And we've got to get behind him with every ounce of being. We've got to set aside our pain. We've got to set aside our pride. We've got to put aside our feelings because, ladies and gentlemen, we are in a war for the salvation of this country. Pride and pain and feelings out the window. We don't have the luxury of feeling sorry for ourselves. We don't have the luxury of losing hope. So I feel your pain. I hear what you're saying. Let's man up and let's win the next battle. 2 years from now, our next focus, we've got to get a new president. We've got to get a president who doesn't have a D in front of their name. We've got to get a conservative Republican, not a Mitt Romney, Bob Dole Republican.
So Joe Miller should run for president is what you're saying.
This
I get
is
it.
something we have got to focus on. One battle at a time. And the battle before us, on a state level, was Prop 1. We won that battle. Thank God. That was a massive battle. Close. It was so close.
Too close.
But we won. 569-1080. Greg.
Hey, good morning. I think there's can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think there's a very important question to ask, and that is, what will it take for the people that supported Joe Miller to go ahead and make it to the polls to vote for Dan Sullivan? And I think Glenn was talking about something earlier. There has to be some bullet points laid down that are promised by Dan Sullivan to draw in that crowd. And I think that's a question you should be asking some folks like myself. What will it take for me to make it to the polls to put an X down or circle in Dan Sullivan? And I'll tell you, one thing it is, there's a couple things for me. One of them is he would have to sign the pledge that Joe tried to get him to sign on amnesty.
Greg?
And a pledge that...
Greg, you didn't hear a word I just said. It's not about winning people like you anymore. He's our guy. We've got to get him in there. You honestly are not going to vote for Dan Sullivan unless he's perfect for you?
That's not what I said, Dan. And besides, you made the argument that following your heart can deceive you to me the other day, and now you're talking exactly opposite to that. But if you let me just finish this.
All right, hold on, Greg. Hold on. Okay. I'll let you finish. I got to take a break, and we'll get your thoughts.
Thank you.
7:44 is the time. Stay with us.
Don't just sit. You're on with.
When you open the door of a 2014 Mercedes-Benz E-Class, you're not just opening the door of one of the world's most advanced automobiles, you're opening the door to an entire automotive philosophy. A philosophy dedicated to bringing forth innovations that forever change the way the world thinks about cars. With stereoscopic vision, for example, the 2000...
Black people. I mean, I cannot believe the minority. He has the minority vote.
less than the future of the automobile, which, of course, closes the door to any other choice. The 2014 E350 Sport Sedan starts at just $54,400. Test drive one today.
MSRP for a 2014 E350 4MATIC Sport Sedan excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. Some equipment described as optional. See dealer for details.
Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
You gotta play to win. Don't miss your chance. The $30,000 Alaska Lottery Cash Sweepstakes is here. The drawing will be held September 1st at the Alaska State Fair. The grand prize is $20,000 cash, and there are 6 other chances to win. Second place gets $5,000, and the remaining winners get $1,000 each. Tickets are only $5, or better yet, get 6 for $20. It's like getting 2 tickets for free. Charitable gaming raises millions of dollars for statewide nonprofit organizations such as the Alaska Peace Officers Association. Get your tickets today at the new Tudor Bingo Center at 1436 East Tudor Road. Tudor charity tabs at 343 West Benson or the Alaska Lottery kiosk on the first floor of the 5th Avenue Mall. Tickets will also be available at the Alaska Lottery booth inside Raven Hall at the Alaska State Fair. You don't have to be present to win, but you gotta play to win. Brought to you by Alaska Peace Officers Association and the Alaska Lottery.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on
0719 Anchorage. Paid for this message.
Fagan, Biegel. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. The Talk of the Valley.
747. You've been putting it off. You've been driving that old clunker around. You're thinking, I got to get a new car. But I can't afford it. I just don't have the extra money. You know what, folks? If you go see Ollie Sheik at Payless Car Sales, you will be shocked at the vehicle he can put you in and the price that you'll pay for it. He has so many cars that are great, reliable, beautiful, pristine, clean, new-looking cars, and the price will just blow you away. He's got a huge selection, Ollie Sheik does, and his team over at Payless Car Sales. Why not stop by before the snow flies? Stop by, tell him Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel sent you. He'll hook you up. I promise you that. Payless Car Sales. He's on 5th Avenue. He's got a beautiful lot. Beautiful. It's second biggest used car lot in Anchorage now. Fastest growing. So go see Ollie Sheik, Payless Car Sales. He's on 5th Avenue. 919 is East 5th Avenue. And again, tell him Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel sent you. And you will walk out of there. You'll drive out of there with a car, truck, SUV that will just blow you away. 7:48 is the time. We've got Greg on the phone. 569-1080 is the number. My main point, just to summarize, is that I believe that we need to regain hope as a movement, the freedom movement, the Joe Miller movement, the Ted Cruz movement, the Tea Party movement. We've lost hope. We're frustrated with the Republican Party. We feel like we've lost the Republican Party. But when you have hope, and you believe that you're going to win, you act very differently than when you have no hope. And you take one battle at a time when you have hope. And the one battle that is in front of us now is removing Mark Begich from office. That's the next step for those of us who are freedom-loving people in Alaska. That's our next battle. That's priority one. Now, Greg, what say you?
Absolutely. However, you can't just replace somebody that has the same positions on important issues, one of which, and I was saying earlier, to attract people to the polls to vote for Dan Sullivan who would otherwise stay home. I think the pledge to sign a no amnesty thing that Joe tried to get Dan Sullivan to sign would be one mechanism. The other pledge would be not to ratify the law of the sea if that comes up. Now, Dan, you know as well as anybody that law of the sea would empower the United Nations beyond belief compared to what they've got now and rob our sovereignty. So you can't be telling me that it's so important to beat Begich that even though Begich would ratify the law of the sea, and if Dan Sullivan doesn't sign a pledge not to do that, a vote for Dan or Dan Sullivan's better than a vote for Mark Begich on that issue, right?
Well, let's look at what you're trying to accomplish here, Greg. So Sullivan has said he's opposed to the law of the sea. Is that correct?
I don't think he's actually come out.
No, he said he's opposed to it. Yeah, he has. And even because Treadwell, who has been its biggest cheerleader for decades, even had said he doesn't like it in its current form.
No. Let me set the record straight on this. Number one, there's a lot of things being said that don't match records in the past. But when it comes to Meade Treadwell, what he said at the Wendy Williamson debate was we cannot move forward on the law of the sea until we make sure we're not sending tax dollars to an overseas body, which, by the way, is Kingston, Jamaica. I don't know how far overseas that is. But what does that tell you? That means that he did not change his position
No.
on ratifying the law of the sea at all.
Oh, I agree with that. Look, I've watched clips of him speaking at different meetings across the country where he talks about it as though it's a must, and we have to do it yesterday instead of today.
Well,
so
the way we solve that,
yeah,
that is by.
But let's look. I want to talk about your proposal that Sullivan sign a no amnesty treaty or pledge.
Okay.
What is that going to accomplish? Is that going to guarantee you that he will not vote for amnesty?
It puts a person on the record. It's like accountability.
All right. So what if he were to say no? What would you do as a voter?
Well, it has to be more than just one issue for me not to make it.
Well, how many pledges do you want him to sign?
I gave you two right there.
Okay, so you want him to sign it, no law of the sea, no amnesty. Well, what else do you want him to sign?
Well, that would probably do it.
Okay, so that's it. All right. Now, what if there's this bill before the Senate that is absolutely foolproof, going to close our borders, going to crack down on businesses that hire illegals, going to take away all benefits from illegals? What if it's just the most amazing, comprehensive immigration bill that would be a dream bill because we have a Republican president, we have a Republican Senate, we have a Republican House, and there is some form of amnesty
20 years down the road.
20 years down the road. You are going to put Dan Sullivan in a position of, because you personally, Greg, want to feel good about him, you're going to tie his hands from voting for a piece of legislation that everyone would agree would be great for the nation. Well, I wouldn't sign your pledge, and I loathe the idea of amnesty. But to lock somebody out of being able to vote on a bill when you don't know what the rest of that bill says, it's just, I would never sign a pledge like that.
Well, maybe you should not be asking me. You should be asking some of the legal immigrants here that have to stand in line behind those.
Greg, you're not just my
Yes,
point.
I did. Can I ask one other thing here? I know you want to take other calls, but let me ask of Glen Biegel here, if my vote for Dan Sullivan is equivalent to supporting Dan Sullivan.
Well, yeah,
would it qualify?
I suppose. Yeah, it says you support Dan Sullivan. I'm not voting for Dan Sullivan for Dan Sullivan. I'm voting for Dan Sullivan because I believe he's limited government and pro-life. That's why I would vote for him. So I'm voting for a movement, and I think the movement takes us away from where Mark Begich is, not pro-life, not limited government, and towards a goal that I have, which is more limited government, more states' rights, and a more pro-life country.
Well, I think that's important because when you try to, place conditions on Joe Miller as to his support and what he should do for Dan Sullivan, if voting for Dan Sullivan in and of itself is support, then I think that qualifies on Joe Miller's part to fulfill his promise that he made to support the nominee if it wasn't him.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, the last thing we want is to elect Begich. Don't get me wrong. And Dan, when you say I'm not listening to a word you say, believe me, I'm taking every word you say deep down inside of me and analyzing it. So maybe I disagree with some of the things you say, but please don't say that I don't hear you. Okay?
I apologize for that.
Okay, thank you for letting me talk.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. Greg's a great caller, by the way. He's very thoughtful.
Oh, he works so hard. He's a good friend of mine.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and he really, he thinks very deeply about all these things, and he is very worried about the law of the sea treaty, and he doesn't know what to do, as most Americans don't know what to do with our completely lawless president and the lawless Democrats. So, I mean, these are like present threats, a present threat to the United States of America, and they do want clear messages on it. Hopefully we will get those clear messages.
Yesterday when I was talking with Tom Anderson, he did bring up the whole orphan thing and, the kids and how Dan Sullivan says he just wants to send them back and reunite them with his family.
This is the border.
These are the things that Mark Begich and the media is going to come after Dan Sullivan on, and he's got to have his answer ready instead of just saying secure the borders. It's got to be more. Explain to me what secure the borders means. And that's not just for me. That's maybe people.
Let me put you in what you're calling for Dan Sullivan to do.
But see, I'm not running for Senate.
No. You don't get to cut.
Okay. I can tell you that having a little bit of experience with customs, we have got to get people in the administration who are willing to enforce the law.
As
the
it's
rule
written.
of law, exactly. Yeah. The rule of law
So
is
what are you
key.
calling for specifically?
We
got 20 million Americans who broken into our country illegally. Well, what are you calling for specifically?
Well, I want Dan Sullivan to explain that to me.
No, Bonnie, you don't get to say, I want Dan Sullivan to do this, when you as a citizen have every responsibility to make up your mind on
I think that the fence was a great idea.
Okay,
I think as a country,
so what do?
We should fulfill that fence. We should put
so we
people
built
on the fence.
What do you want to do about the 20 million who've broken into our country?
You know, I have not decided where I am on that.
Hey, Bonnie.
But I have also said, yeah, round them up and
so you're
send them back and put them back in line. But then I've got Glen Biegel saying they've been here 20 years or more, whatever.
Here's what just happened. I want Glen Biegel to tell me what his favorite color is, whether it's green or blue or yellow.
I can't do that. I got to check with Dan Sullivan first.
You basically are calling for Dan Sullivan to do something you yourself haven't done.
Yeah.
Which is make up your mind about a policy.
No. I just can't put it into words.
Well, that's what you're calling Dan Sullivan to do.
He should.
Well,
He's running for Senate.
You should. You're a talk show host.
He's supposed to be the expert. He's got all this record and all this.
You're on a talk show. You got more influence than he does.
This is not that easy of an issue. It's just not that easy.
That's my
and by
point.
the way,
I just don't want to hear. I don't
want
to hear secure the border one more time without.
His answer's better than yours.
Okay, Joe Miller has a 7-point plan. Where is Dan Sullivan's 7-point plan?
Secure the border is better than I've made up my mind yet. I mean, you just called for a politician to make up his mind on an issue.
Dan, I am a novice compared to what Dan Sullivan should be.
But you can't call. If you're a novice, don't accuse somebody else of being a novice.
Oh, I can easily do that because that's what the media is going to do, and that's what Begich is going to do.
Help me here.
What do you want me to? These are real issues. There are real people who are involved.
Dan Sullivan shouldn't need me to sit here and tell him what to say.
This is what I hope. I do have a suggestion as to what we ought to do with the borders, in addition to securing them. If you're here illegally, you do not get to get in line. You don't have to go. You don't have to go, but you do not get to get in line. How about that?
You are so driven by emotion. It's Joe Miller's all wrong, Dan Sullivan's all right. For you to say, I want Joe Miller to tell, or Dan Sullivan to tell me exactly where he stands on the issue. Where do you stand on the issue, Bonnie? Oh, I don't know. I mean, that's how your emotion is blinding you to reality.
Give me a few minutes.
7:58. Emotion is blinding you to reality.
Give me a few minutes.
7:58.
Call 333-8000, 333-8000.
Hi, folks.
It's that time of year again. It's back to school time at Sicily's. We know you're busy, especially when it's back to school time. So Sicily's created the back to school special. Buy any large pizza at the regular price, get an order of 10 chicken wings at half price. Let Sicily's do the cooking and driving while you check things off your back to school to-do list. Take a break. Order Sicily's back to school special. Just call 333-8000. That's 333-8000. Or order online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's.
Call 333-8000, 333-8000.
You're listening to Hot Talk KOAN, 1080 AM Anchorage, and retranslated at 95.5 FM, K238BE, Anchorage.
This is a very complicated issue, and that's the point. You're asking Dan Sullivan to take a position on a very complicated issue. Are you with me here?
I am. I'm listening and doing something at the same time. I'm a woman. I can multitask.
Are trying to uncover the identity of the man in black who spoke in a British accent before killing Foley.
Every little speck of information on that video will be a clue for the intelligence community.
The background, for example, could determine the exact location where the beheading took place. Lisa.
Rachel, the White House just announcing President Obama will make a statement later this hour, 12:45 Eastern. They haven't confirmed a topic. Meantime, in Iraq, reports of more U.S. airstrikes, nearly a dozen since yesterday, with planes and drones to help Iraqi and Kurdish forces build a buffer around the recently recaptured Mosul Dam. Attorney General Eric Holder just arriving in St. Louis, heading to the suburb where local and federal probes continue into the police shooting death of an unarmed black teen. Fox News Radio's Jeff Manasso live in Ferguson.
The nation's top law enforcement officer is expected to meet with federal investigators today who are looking into the shooting death of Michael Brown. And here along West Florissant Avenue, cleanup continues again after a night of smaller crowds and less violence. Dozens were still arrested, but authorities attribute a possible turning of the page to protesters with cooler heads like this man.
We need to start having that conversation about becoming one in America and making our country the best it can be.
Protests have also moved to the St. Louis County Justice Center, where a grand jury expects to begin looking at evidence and conflicting witness statements today. Lisa?
Jeff, thanks. Stocks right now edging higher. The Dow's up 32 points. You're listening to Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Did you know by age 50, half of all men have an enlarged prostate? This means more urges to urinate, longer bathroom trips, waking at night to urinate, or issues with intimacy. If this sounds familiar, call us now, because we're shipping free bottles of Super Beta Prostate to listeners of this station. Super Beta Prostate is a non-prescription formula guaranteed to reduce the symptoms of your enlarged prostate. It's yours free. Pay only shipping and handling. Just call 1-800-739-8212. In clinical trials, the ingredient in Super Beta Prostate was shown to reduce urges to urinate, improve bladder emptying, reduce waking at night to urinate, and improve quality of life. This Super Beta Prostate free offer is for listeners of this station, but it won't last. Don't wait. Just call 1-800-739-8212. That's 1-800-739-8212. Call 1-800-739-8212.
Hi, this is Jonathan Martin at Harrington & Company. Sellers, if you are going to sell your home, now may very well be the best time. The current interest rates are still very low in comparison to previous loan rates. Now is the time to take advantage of this uncommon phenomenon. We will look back at this period as a golden opportunity to buy or sell. Homeowners planning to sell should call us at 244-0821. We will be happy to come out and do a comparative market analysis at your convenience. Call Jonathan Martin at Harrington & Company, 244-0821. That's 244-0821.
Who was the last Alaska governor to see 16,000 new jobs created on his watch? Was it Wally Hickel, Jay Hammond, Bill Egan? The last governor to see 16,000 new jobs is our current governor, Sean Parnell. Alaska is in the middle of a jobs boom. Since Sean Parnell took office, the Alaska economy has produced some 16,000 new jobs. And you can bet there are more jobs coming. Listen to Jim Huffman, president of a trucking company in Fairbanks.
This year we are buying new trucks, hiring new people. I could put 20 truck drivers to work tomorrow if we could find them. I give the credit to Governor Parnell.
Alaska's economy is back on track. 16,000 new Alaska jobs since Sean Parnell became our governor. That's why Parnell 2014, Fox 100719 Anchorage paid for this message.
Did you know that one of the state's premier medical facilities is located right in the heart of South Anchorage? Thanks to the Alaska Neurology Center, there's no need to leave Alaska anymore when it comes to treating the nervous system. You'll receive the best care at the Alaska Neurology Center for epilepsy, cerebral palsy, brain injuries, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, Huntington's disease, multiple sclerosis, speech disorders, and they offer pain management as well. And if you're having trouble sleeping at night, the Alaska Neurology Center has the best sleep disorder experts in the state. They also have the most sophisticated MRI imaging technology in Alaska. If you need relief from stress or from migraines, relax in their luxurious spa. At the Alaska Neurology Center, their massage therapists are amazing. And they offer hydrotherapy, infrared sauna, hot and cold therapy, and shiatsu massage. And their medical spa also offers facials and waxing. The Alaska Neurology Center, located on Diamond and Old Seward.
When I grew up, I wanted to be a pro basketball player. An elementary school teacher. Oh, an Olympic gymnast.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream. For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give them a call, 569-1080. You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning on the Talk of the Valley, KVNT, 92.5 FM, 1020 AM.
All right, 6 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour on this Wednesday. I was telling Glen Biegel over there, Bonnie Cameron right there. I'm Dan Fagan. 569-1080. Love to hear from you. Get your reaction to the results yesterday. I logged on Glen and Bonnie about 9 something. Saw Prop 1 leading. Yes, vote.
Heart through the floor. Dagger.
Couldn't believe it. I was numb. I was numb. You lose faith in mankind. You know?
I thought let him have it.
Yeah,
let's see what happens.
There was some of that.
I'll show
really?
you. For the briefest moment, I was
that
like,
kind of sounded
you know
familiar.
what? You are going to get what's coming to you, and I can't wait. I can't wait for the oil companies to do just what they said, which is to go invest in a place that wants them there. For God's sakes.
Yeah. No, there was a moment, maybe 60 seconds to 90 seconds, where I hell with them.
Yeah, I felt that.
Yeah.
Let them burn and
let it all burn.
Let it burn. It's our oil people.
Yeah.
Let's see how.
Where's my shovel? I got a bucket and a shovel. I'm going to get some of it.
I almost brought a bunch of shovels and just handed them to them. And it was so funny when they were winning and they were all happy and chanting, and then all of a sudden it turned and there was a yay, because there was not very many people.
Yeah, who were no on
one.
No one won.
And it was so funny. And then everybody started trickling out and leaving.
That would have been a great bumper sticker, by the way. It's your oil. Here's your shovel.
569-1080. 569-1080. John, you're on.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, I just wanted to correct you on something I heard you say about Dan Sullivan.
Okay.
Yeah, Dan Sullivan, he really is. He's never led anybody into battle. He's never been in combat.
Oh, I caught myself when I did that. What I said was he led men into combat. You're right. He's trained men for combat, but he's never personally been in combat, and you're correct, and thanks for clarifying that.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, John. Here's a text from somebody. It says, I voted for Miller, and I am 300% behind Sullivan. The Republican philosophy is what leads to prosperity for all, not the Democratic.
So important for people to believe that this movement will lead to a better country, to a country that can become better. Getting rid of Democrats is important for people's families. Because if we, just like what Bill Clinton, he was heading up the country, but at least he was rational and he vetoed reform, what was it, on welfare.
Well, he didn't veto it, he passed it.
He vetoed it twice. The third time it was passed by the House and the Senate, he actually passed it just before his election.
Yeah.
That changed the trajectory of our country.
It changed inner city America.
It was a dramatic impact.
Yeah.
You can't just look at America from the 700,000-foot level and say, well, you know what? It'll be painful. It'll be awful. But we just need to let the Democrats run things, and then people will see what happens. There are individual families who need to be saved, who need to be taken away from the Democrats and their control over the inner city and their control over the poverty system, and they will be saved.
Ronald Reagan's tax cuts gave us, because we went from a 78% rate to
the top rate. Yeah.
Ronald Reagan's tax cuts contributed to decades of prosperity. George Bush's tax cuts gave us about a decade of prosperity. These things matter. And Republicans are for tax cuts. And Democrats are not. It's just that simple. And I know it's hip for the Tea Party to beat up on Republicans, but...
It's not beating up on them. It's holding them accountable.
For what, cutting taxes?
Everything.
Well, but you can't cut taxes and still have a big government. I don't want low taxes in a big government. If you're going to have low taxes, you got to have small government. Although taxes do give you more revenue, I just want the revenue to match the outgrowth. You can't pass the costs on to the next generation. That's very important. It's important for Republicans to realize that.
I'm tired of everybody talking down about the Tea Party. I don't know how Tea Party has gotten equated with radical right-wing conservative people, everybody should be upset over it.
A lot of effort from the media. That's what
sure.
happened.
Tear down.
That's why only 15% of Americans identify with Tea Party values, even though you and I both know 30 to 40% of people really do believe
Well,
in
it
the
started
Tea Party
out
values.
as more people being involved in the Tea Party.
31% was as high as it got.
But yeah.
But they've demonized us.
Right. Nobody wants to be called a teabagger.
Oh, well, don't use that. That phrase is actually offensive. And meant to be offensive, by the way.
Yeah.
I know you don't mean it to be offensive, but...
No.
A good friend of mine yesterday, I was talking to him. I said, did you vote? He said, yep. I said, who are you voting for? I said, well, I don't know. I know Meade Treadwell, but I think I'm going to go with Sullivan because I think he can beat Begich. This is a conservative guy, Catholic, pro-life. I said, what about Joe Miller? He goes, are you kidding me? He's a nut job. And now it's the same thing with the Tea Party, same thing with Joe Miller. That's a media-created perception.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said 40% of Americans identify with Tea Party values, I would say 70% of them do.
Wow.
They just don't understand that the Tea Party is for smaller government, more freedom. They think the Tea Party is a bunch of racists, and they hate women. Homophobes. Hate Mexicans. Hate Muslims. So when the media, like my poor friend, he really honestly believes Joe Miller's, because, all he knows is, well, didn't he have somebody handcuffed?
Well, you haven't helped that, to be fair.
So I created the handcuffs perception.
No, but I'm blaming it on you.
Oh, yeah. Hanging it right around your neck. Well, the one thing that I do think that a lot of Americans are not sure about, that is a Tea Party value, is that if we live within our means, we will have a harder life, but we will be better people. And that is a core belief of being in the Tea Party. That no matter how hard it is to live within your means, so that the government doesn't run these massive deficits, and they're not transferring wealth from one generation to another, and they're not giving debt to the next generation. That is not going to be easy to do, because people are going to have to change their lives. You know how? You're going to have to take care of your parents. Oh, my God, what? You mean the government's not going to take care of them? You're going to have to take care of the poor. The person who's hungry, who's down the street, that's your job. It's not a bureaucrat's job. You know how much we pay that bureaucrat to give them food? 4 times as much money as we give them in the value of food. The bureaucrats paid 4 times as much, 80% waste.
I don't agree that it's a harder life. There is no life harder in which you've given up and you have no hope. And that's what government dependents are.
Yeah.
They literally have convinced themselves they're victims. They can't get themselves out of their own mess, and they're dependent on government the rest of their life. There's no worse existence than that.
I agree. But see, here's the thing. We're talking about the way that we want people to see things versus the way that they do. What they think is normal is that a bureaucrat goes down and runs a food pantry for the federal government and gives food out to the poor. That's normal for them now. That's not normal. That's stupid. That is an essence of the anti-Tea Party movement.
569-1080. 569-1080. That's the number if you'd like to join the broadcast. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. 1080. That's the number if you'd like to join the broadcast. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie.
You're on.
Let's get some great discounts, and you can use your PFD today. Take a look.
Here's a Chevy Cobalt for $49.50 and a Toyota Corolla for $89.50. And if you're looking for a 4x4, check these out.
Here's a Ford F350, just $89.50. And here's a Dodge 1500, just $10.9.
Plus, every vehicle is certified and under warranty. And remember, 0% financing is available on all vehicles, new and used. And you can use your PFD today.
It's giant. Worthington Ford on Gamble, open till midnight.
Stock numbers 07 Cobalt 1473728, 04 1500 SQ16748, 97 F350 1473158, 09 Corolla Q12638. 0% financing on approved credit. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details. Ends 8/21/2014.
333-8000, 333-8000, 333-8000. Call Cecily's Pizza. Call 333-8000, 333-8000, 333-8000. Cecily's.
It's that time of year again. It's back to school time at Sicily's. We know you're busy, especially when it's back to school time. So Sicily's created the back to school special. Buy any large pizza at the regular price, get an order of 10 chicken wings at half price. Let Sicily's do the cooking and driving while you check things off your back to school to-do list. Take a break. Order Sicily's back to school special. Just call 333-8000. That's 333-8000. Or order online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's.
Call 333-8000, 333-8000. Call Cecily's Pizza.
Hot Talk KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9 a.m. on the Talk.
8:17 time. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie, and Myron Schweigert over at Chugach Chiropractic. Dr. Myron Schweigert is a master at making you feel better. No pain. No pain. They're all about pain relief at Chugach Chiropractic. Natural solutions. You don't have to go under the knife. It's not always default surgeon. At Chugach Chiropractic, Dr. Myron Schweigert and his team, Dr. Madden, they are good at identifying what is causing you pain and getting you healthy and happy again. Also, of course, their Shape Reclaim program. Glenn lost 45 pounds. I'm losing weight. I've already lost 9. I don't know how much I've lost since I was weighing. I'll be weighing this week. It works. If you want to lose weight, give them a call. Everybody who's got on the Shape Reclaim program that we know of, it's worked for them. And we're not talking about losing 5 pounds. We're talking about Dr. Madden, who's helping me with the program. He's lost 50 pounds. Chugach Chiropractic, 694-9224. 694-9224. One more time. Here's the number. Give them a call. 694-9224. 8:18 is the time. Our number, 569-1080. 569-1080. Anybody surprised by any of the developments in the election yesterday? We'd love to hear from you. Bonnie is in mourning, obviously, over the Joe Miller defeat, but she's going to be okay.
Well. I think she's
going to be all right.
She'll
survive.
These are hard elections where you have 3 different options.
She's hurt. You can look at her face.
I'm just tired.
That's right.
If it had been me, Treadwell, I would not be voting.
You would vote for Begich over Treadwell?
I might actually cast a vote for Begich. No, I would not cast a vote. I would stay home. I would stay home. I don't care.
You don't care.
Yeah, that's what I got a sense of, after I made my arguments yesterday, but I kept hearing from people who said, he went for the race card, he played the race card, he just can't be trusted. You can't call another conservative a racist.
I'm not going to throw my support behind someone who has given his support to people that I just fundamentally disagree
Lisa
with.
Murkowski,
Matt Clayman, yes. I cannot do that.
That was for me to overcome.
And he voted for Lisa Murkowski in the general in 2010, and as much as I am over that, I will not support him.
First of all, you're not over that.
I am over that.
And in 2016, he gave to our campaign, which hasn't even started yet.
I hope Joe Miller runs against Don Young.
You think
I'm going to say that right now.
You think that's where he's going to go? Because I think that's his best chance. I think that's the
I
smartest
wish he would have
thing
done
for him
it
to
this
do.
time, but that's just me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see
Let
Joe Miller
Don Young
winning
should just
statewide.
go enjoy his new wife when they get married. I don't know. I want Joe Miller in there somewhere making decisions for our country.
Oh, I do want to give Begich's the absolutely weak argument for why he should remain senator. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
This is how sad this is. Begich, first Democrat senator to represent Alaska nearly 3 decades. Listen to this. Said who runs the Senate is not what Alaskans care about. Instead, he said, voters care about efforts like fighting to save a subsidized mail system to ship items to the lower 48 states. They want to see their senators try to stem rising seawaters that threaten coastal villages. And they want community projects, like the one that
to
he
the hell with
supported
the country.
in
It's
the
all about
federal
Alaska.
stimulus.
How much more out of touch can you be?
Is he totally clueless?
Oh.
It's unbelievable, but he's going to run hard in the bush, folks. He's got 13 different locations that he's opening up out in the bush.
569-1080.
That's a weak argument.
Let's just be honest. There will be 100% turnout in the bush.
No, there won't.
If they've got to go to each house and drive them in a limo to the polling place, they'll ship limos in on C-130s. Whatever they got to do, there'll be 100% turnout in the bush.
Harry Reid will personally pay for that.
I'd be surprised if it was 30% turnout.
569-1080. Tom.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, Dan, earlier you were talking about, if the country goes too much further down, there's no coming back. And I really disagree with you on that. Look at, Napoleon burned Moscow in 1812, and it came back stronger than it ever was. London came back after World War II. Vietnam, if you follow that, the country was pretty much destroyed.
But Tom, all three of those examples are an
there's-
external force coming in and invading.
No, it's not. Well, it's external force coming in and invading, but
Military. I'm not talking about defeating. We'll never be. Let me finish and I'll let you respond.
Okay, sure.
We'll never be defeated militarily from external forces. I'm absolutely convinced of the superiority of our military. But our problem is not a foreign enemy. Our problem is the enemy within, the Hollis Frenches and the Mark Begiches and the Harry Reids. These people are presenting a clear and present danger to the economy and the sovereignty of the United States of America.
Right, but those people are going to leave office, and then we are very, very resilient, and we will return from what they do to us. Like Barack Obama, he's changing the way the country operates, and it's to our detriment, I believe, but 2 years from now, he's gone.
No, I agree with you.
And,
We're
going to turn it back around.
No, you misunderstood me, and that's one. That was my main message, that we will win this, but we have to believe we're going to win this, and we have to have hope. Because when I hear people say, "I'm not going to vote for Dan Sullivan because I want a perfect candidate and let Mark Begich ruin the country," that's not believing what you're saying.
And in answer to Bonnie, I'd vote for my cat before I'd vote for Mark Begich.
Certainly.
I mean, anybody is better than Mark Begich. So, I don't care who you put up, that candidate has to be better than Mark Begich for Alaska. So, Dan Sullivan, he wasn't my guy yesterday. He's my guy today.
Who was your guy, Meade?
I voted for Meade.
Yeah.
I just, I spend a lot of time at this, and every once in a while somebody says something dumb. And even if Meade did, everybody says something dumb from time to time.
Where do you think his campaign went wrong?
I think that he kept responding to what he thought he had to do to win rather than just being himself. Meade as himself is a good candidate.
So he was trying to be Joe Miller-like?
Yeah. He doesn't have to reinvent himself to be a really good guy and a good candidate. He's been here for 40 years. He's worked very hard for Alaska. And had he been in the Senate, he would work hard for Alaska. Whatever he does in the future, I believe he'll be working hard for Alaska. So, but Dan Sullivan, long background in his family of being in public service, I think he's going to do a great job for us. So, it was very, very close between Meade and Sullivan. I picked Meade, just in the last couple of weeks. I contributed to both.
Yeah.
Because I knew that both of them, either one of them, is so much better than Mark Begich. That we just have to ride the horse that we now have, and make sure that we win in November.
Thank you, Tom.
Have a good day.
Glenn, you said you walked into the voting booth not knowing who you're going to vote for.
Yeah, I did. It's never happened as far as I know.
And what, at the end, swung you?
Well, there were three arguments that ran around in my head, and this is I ended up voting for Joe. My initial sense was that Meade was a conservative, and that he had the best chance to gather the Bush vote. When he called Joe a racist or used racism as a weapon, rather than as an indication that he was not a smart politician, that was an indication, A, that he might not be conservative. That's a real problem, A. B, it also broke the coalition. If we don't have this coalition between Meade Treadwell and Dan Sullivan and Joe Miller, and believe me, there are three different groups voting for these three different men, if we don't have a coalition and he's not building the coalition, then he's not the most easily electable candidate. And so I thought he had broken trust with a lot of Joe Miller supporters, as Bonnie just reflected on. She was going to have real problems voting for Meade Treadwell.
But now yesterday,
and so that broke what my primary arguments were. A, that he was conservative. That got called into question.
Okay.
B, that he was the most easily electable candidate because here he was trashing Joe Miller's supporters because he's trashing their candidate, rather than pointing out this is what Mark Begich is going to do to you. You're not a very smart campaigner, which I frankly agree with. All right, so that was a problem for me and Meade. So then I looked at Dan Sullivan. Arguments are, well, Dan Sullivan is the only guy who's got a chance to win. I thought, well, you know what? He's a terrible debater. He has not shown up at these debates. I'm not sure that in this circumstance that he actually can win. And then I started thinking, well, so here are two circumstances under which I should vote for Joe Miller. Either both of them could win. Mark Begich is such a weak candidate. This president is so hated. It is really time for us to change, and that both candidates can win, or neither of them can win. And in both of those circumstances, and I said, you know what, Glenn, you're not that smart. You're not that clever. Don't try and outsmart yourself. Joe Miller's the guy who agrees with you most on the issues. Just vote that way, because you don't know whether or not those two scenarios, either of them could win or neither of them could win, could turn out. Just vote your heart. So that's what I did.
And Bonnie, you voted for Meade Treadwell, is that right?
In his dreams. No.
569-1080, 569-1080. I want to remind you that tomorrow, or actually in about a half hour, we're changing addresses on one of our, it reminds me of the old Steve Martin joke. Steve, why are you so, people, here's the joke. People come up to me all the time and say, Steve, why are you so funny? And Steve Martin says, I tell them all the time, it's all about timing. Tomorrow, or at 9 a.m. this morning, we're going to change addresses. 95.5 FM in Anchorage is going to go to 95.1. And it's a much more powerful signal. And, of course, we're already on 1080 AM in Anchorage. And then out in the valley, we're on 92.5 FM and then 1020 AM. So we're going to be on 95.1 AM, FM in Anchorage. So as the show ends, set your preset to 95.5 FM. And we're getting our streaming now.
95.1.
Okay,
95.1 FM.
Couple clicks down.
We're so close to getting the stream address that we can tell you about every day. We just got to upgrade our internet. I don't know why that's taking forever in a day, but we're going to get that, and then we're going to be able to give you an address you can go to every day and watch the show visually. So we're close on that. 829. Stay with me. Visual. So we're close on that. 829. Stay with me.
Fagan and Fagan.
And Jansen's Eagle River Funeral Home, Jansen Funeral Homes, where just like family, they're there when you need them.
With KOAN News, I'm Chuck White. Unofficial results on Measure 1 suggest Alaska voters have decided not to repeal oil tax breaks. 53% voted no in Tuesday's referendum, while 47% said yes to the repeal ballot question. With most precincts reporting early polling results suggested Republican primary candidates for U.S. Senate finishing in this order: Sullivan, Miller, and then Treadwell. Congressional candidates Young and Dunbar appear to have earned their party's nominations. Byron Mallett will challenge Governor Park Parnell, while voters this fall will choose between local mayor Dan Sullivan and state senator Hollis French to serve as lieutenant governor. Former Rep. Bill Stoltz of Chugach won the District F state Senate Republican primary, while Kathy Tilton will represent her party in the House District 12 race. Other primary winners for upcoming House District races include Jim Culver, Don Hadley, Jaron Carr, Ann Doobie, and Liz Vasquez. That's your Hot Talk News update.
Mostly sunny skies with a shower in spots for this afternoon, high 67. Clear tonight, low 50. Mostly sunny and nice for tomorrow, high 68. Thursday night, low 54. Friday, sunshine and clouds, high 65. And for Saturday, clouds and sunshine, high 66. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather, KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Chris here along with my buddy Brock. That's right, we're here to tell you to tune into The Beer Show every Saturday at 5 p.m. on 95.5 and 1080 KOAN. The Beer Show is brought to you by Brown Jug Alaska, Eagle River Ale House, Great Artisan Beverages, and the Odom Corporation. Please drink responsibly. Go get it done.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Protein is important, but more isn't always better. I'm here to warn you. You need to be careful. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's chief medical correspondent. The craze for high-protein diets right now is hard to miss. It's even marketed on Cheerios. But how much protein do you really need? Well, the average man needs about 56 grams of protein a day. The average woman, just 46 grams. That's 2 small patties of lean hamburger meat if you get no other protein at all. Too much protein can lead to weight gain. The extra calories, they are just stored as fat, can also stress your kidneys, lead to osteoporosis, even dehydration. Now, you don't need special protein-added foods to get what you need. You don't even need meat. Grains like quinoa or chia, hemp seeds, they are complete proteins. They have all the essential amino acids that you really need. Vegetables like broccoli and spinach, they're also good. In fact, broccoli has more protein per calorie than chicken. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Nasacort Allergy 24-Hour. The first 24-hour prescription-strength nasal allergy spray available over-the-counter has a few facts for allergy sufferers. Fact 1. Your symptoms aren't caused by allergens. They're caused by your body's chemical responses to them. Fact 2. Antihistamines target only one chemical response. And fact 3. Nasacort stops more to relieve your worst nasal allergy symptoms, even congestion. You've got the facts. Now get relief with Nasacort. It stops more of what makes you miserable. Use as directed.
The Lumber Liquidators Fall Flooring Kickoff Sale is on with over 250 of the latest styles all on sale now. Get Black Forest Oak Laminate for a crazy 39 cents a square foot. Beautiful and durable bamboo for just $159. Classic pre-finished gunstock oak hardwood for $149. All gorgeous Bellawood pre-finished hardwood is on sale. Plus get special 24-month financing. Go to lumberliquidators.com today to find the store nearest you. Hurry, this sale ends Tuesday the 2nd. The fall flooring season is here. Why aren't you?
Glen Biegel, you have beautiful teeth.
Why, thank you, Dan Fagan. That's because my family and I have gone to Dr. Dan Kiley for years.
I get scared at the dentist.
Dr. Kiley knows people like you are afraid, so he creates a relaxed atmosphere at his office. People actually like going to the dentist with Dr. Kiley.
I know it's important to have good dental health.
And you look better with good teeth. And Dr. Kiley offers cosmetic dentistry along with general care.
Visit Dr. Dan Kiley at lakeotisdental.com. Call him at 562-9209.
Why is A&A The Shop Alaska's independent Subaru specialist? How is it they've been voted the best shop in Anchorage not once, 6 times? Well, it's pretty simple. They offer the best warranty in the business. If they work on your Subaru, you're going to get a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on both parts and labor. That's unheard of. A&A The Shop deals exclusively with Subarus, and they also offer $35 oil changes. All their technicians are ASE certified. Call A&A The Shop for an appointment. 562-3919 in Anchorage and 696-2096 in Eagle River.
Glenn, every once in a while you find a hidden gem right here in Anchorage.
You're talking about the Snow Leopard Boutique.
I am.
Owner Eileen Bear has an amazing eye for beauty.
For decorating ideas, it doesn't get any better than Snow Leopard Boutique.
They have 2,400 square feet of everything you need to beautify yourself and your home.
Glenn, I noticed a calming atmosphere the moment I walked in.
Dan, how about those chocolate truffles?
Yeah, and you can wash them down with a free latte.
The Snow Leopard Boutique.
At the corner of Tudor and Old Seward.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. The Talk of the Valley. KVNT.
8:35 on a Wednesday morning, day after the election. If you're just waking up, ballot measure 1 went down in defeat. 79,980 people voted no. 73,184 voted yes. Glen Biegel's right over there. There's Bonnie Cameron. I'm Dan Fagan. I was shocked. I didn't really think it would do that well.
Yeah, it was a lot closer than I thought. It was about 4 points, 5 points closer than I thought it would be. I thought we would win by a 10-point margin. The no.
I've been more predicted yes would win by 12 points.
Someone was in here.
Wow.
They said 52-48. Who was that?
Who?
Somebody was in here and they said it could be as close as 52-48.
Was that Rebecca Logan?
No. No.
You're talking about in here?
Sarah Erkman?
Somebody was in
our
here.
show?
Yes, and they predicted
Kara Moriarty?
52-48. It might have been.
Oh, I don't think they would say. They didn't say that on the air.
Yeah, they probably didn't say that on the air.
No.
It was.
Which is being.
This was a gut check, but what?
No, I don't think it was. I think it was somebody on the.
Well, what is important for I was thinking about this morning. This is way too close of a call, and I think a lot of people who were voting yes in the way that Eddie was voting yes, Eddie Burke, who I thought gave the best defense. He said, well, if you think that Senate Bill 21 is not a perfect bill and we go back to ACES, we could just implement another bill. That would not have been the way that the oil industry would have seen it. They would have given up on Alaska because you have no idea. Obviously, they're not going to get as good of a deal, and it was already marginal to invest in Alaska versus other places. And you would have handed to the labor unions, the IBEW specifically, vast amounts of power to control the process. And they just know that there's no win. There's no win in the process of trying to negotiate with the IBEW for what they think is a fair amount of money to pay in taxes. Oh, gee, let me think. 100%. Yeah. You can only hire IBEW people for everything, and it's 100%. Well, gee, that doesn't seem very reasonable, Mr. IBEW. So anyway, that isn't the way oil companies would have seen it. But I know that there is a contingent of people who, like Eddie Burke, were thinking Senate Bill 21 is not a perfect bill. If we go back to ACES, it gives us a chance to implement another bill. Here's what I think has to happen now. We have to know everything that's happening because of Senate Bill 21 so we can get as many of those people to come over to the no side and to understand this is a vibrant, important...
don't agree with that.
What's wrong with it?
People don't see clearly, Glenn. It's our oil. That's all they see.
It's our oil, man.
It's envy, it's jealousy, it's skepticism. The oil companies are evil in their mind. Have you ever sat down and talked with Malcolm Roberts?
No, I'm not talking about Malcolm Roberts.
Yeah,
You've got to
that's the
understand
movement.
that there was a coalition of people, about 2 or 3 different groups of people. 2 of the groups I totally agree. If you're for oil, you're a corrupt bastard.
Yes.
Sarah Palin.
Yes.
If we do not get these people to sign on the dotted line and we're not in their boardrooms telling them how to operate their companies,
yes,
we can't trust them.
Yes.
Bill Wilikowski.
Yes.
And then you had to add to
Bill
that.
Walker.
You had to add to that, and I put Bill Walker in this camp, by the way, and I know you don't, and this is where we disagree for people out there trying to figure out what's going on between Dan and I. I don't put Bill Walker in the same camp as the people who want oil out of the state.
Oh, no, I don't either.
Okay. But for me, there's a contingent of people.
But Bill Walker wants us to go Norway.
Generally conservative, who thought Senate Bill 21 wasn't a great bill. Maybe we can get better. Maybe we could do something else. They just didn't understand that the process would be broken at the time we rejected Senate Bill 21. They didn't understand that, and this is what I think you're saying. People don't see things clearly. They thought they were voting to try and improve Senate Bill 21, maybe get Alaska a little bit more. That is not the way this would have turned out. People who are in the industry knew that this was a yes or no. Do you want a partnership with our companies or don't you? That's all the question they wanted to know. We said, we want to partner with you. Alaska barely came across and said that, but there's a contingent of people, maybe 5%, maybe 10% of the voters in Alaska who I think can be convinced if they're given information, if we show them we've increased production. If in 2015
I just don't see
we have an increase in production, I think they come over to the no side.
If you look at what's happened since ACES left, the jobs, the activity on the slope, the investment, and you still want to go back to ACES, I don't think there's any hope for you, Glenn.
Bill Wilikowski convinced a lot of people that we'd had more jobs on the North Slope than we ever had.
He lied a lot. You're right. He lied a lot.
Hey, well, I'm just saying, 52-48 can't be the best we can do. We really need it to be around 60-40 to know that Alaska wants a partnership with the oil industry. That's a comfortable margin of error where we can have some give, we can have some take.
So you think we're going to have ballot initiatives every year now?
I worry about that unless the oil companies continue to try and let people know, here's how good Senate Bill 21 is for you. Here's how important it is.
Here's what I don't understand.
Okay.
Why would ConocoPhillips, BP, Udelhoven, Linden, all these pro-resource development companies spent a red cent with the Anchorage Daily News, KTUU, KTVA, all these anti-development media organizations? Why would they give them a penny in advertising? Why would they support them in any way, shape, or fashion? And why would they not support Rick Rydell, Glenn Biegel, Dan Fagan, Dave Starrett? Why wouldn't they support media like us?
Well, hopefully they will. However they're going to get their message out. I'm not saying what kind of media they need to do. I think it should be direct mail. I think it should be internet ads. They don't have to go through KTUU. You're living in the 50s here, Dan.
I'm not talking.
You got to get into the 2000s.
No,
here,
you're
bro.
right. TV isn't much of a factor anymore.
All I'm saying is they need to get their message out. Every road out there should say 90% of this road was paid for with Senate Bill 21. We are partners with you, Alaska. Money. We hired 1,000 teachers this year because you guys got more money after Senate Bill 21 passed because we put more money into the state of Alaska. They need to be absolutely specific. We need more oil in the pipeline. They need to let us know every year. Here's how Senate Bill 21 is doing. Here's what a good idea partnership with us was.
I think that it'll become so obvious. I think the prosperity that we're about to see in the state of Alaska, especially after Obama leaves office, because then a lot of the federal lands that are locked up are going to be
Shell,
NPRA, offshore. I think it's going to be so. That was a bullet last night.
Oh.
The prosperity that we will see in the next 10 years in Alaska will parallel and rival what they're seeing in North Dakota. Had the no vote won, it would have never happened. But because we dodged that bullet, I believe it's going to be all self-evident. People are going to look at North Dakota. You don't have to convince anybody. And in Alaska, it's going to be the same way because we got to get rid of Begich, got to get rid of Obama. Republicans have to take control of the Senate. But that's the next battle. And once that happens, all the pieces are aligned.
I disagree. North Dakota was nothing, and now it's something, and people saw it. We've always been something, and then it would be nothing. But they haven't experienced that yet. So
I don't think you understand what's happening in North Dakota.
No, I do.
No,
I've been down there. I see it. I've seen it. We've almost worked there. I do know what's going on.
Taco Bell pays $25 an hour.
Well,
it does.
Yeah.
You
Walmart,
can't get a house.
Yeah, like 17. I know.
You can't get a house.
I know that. What I'm saying is that the kids in Alaska growing up here have always known wealth. They've always known prosperity.
Comfort.
Not to the degree they're getting in North Dakota.
They're not going to see it. They think they're entitled to it. So the better it gets, the more they think that it's just they were going to be here anyway.
I had no idea you were so cynical. I'm serious.
Her husband almost lost her job, Dan.
But he didn't.
You talk about dodging a bullet.
Today.
They just almost lost their house.
He didn't.
But the kids that are saying it's our oil don't know that.
They're not kids, by the way.
Well, there's a lot of them there. There's a lot of them out there.
Disco Ray's not a kid.
844, Fagan, Biegel, Bonnie.
Disco Ray's not a kid.
844, Fagan, Biegel, Bonnie.
C-Class sports sedan and feel the agility control suspension lean expertly into a bend, you're not just turning a corner, you're turning a page. Because it's at that moment you discover the C-Class has left your old notions about a sports sedan far behind. With its direct injection engine, the C-Class delivers both superior efficiency and power, giving you an electrifying experience that exists only behind the wheel of one of the most stylish and luxurious automobiles of its kind. The 2014 C-Class rewrites the book on what a sports sedan can be. Get the 2014 C300 4MATIC Sports Sedan starting at $39,400.
MSRP for a 2014 C300 4MATIC Sports Sedan excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. See dealer for details.
Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
Herb, my husband and I love your smoked fish, and our favorite is the lox. We just love it with bagels or bread. So what makes it so different from your other smoked products?
Unlike most smoked fish, lox is salmon that's cold smoked. It's fully cured with our traditional old world recipe. Our cold smoked lox is served in many of the finest restaurants in Alaska. I'm very happy you and your husband like it.
Herb, if we bring our fish to you...
They want Norway. They want Norway to run. They want the government to run because it's all about the unions for them. And then you got people who are stupid, who don't understand taxes deter investment. And that's Eddie Burke, Sarah Palin. They're stupid.
To send them outside for our friends. Can you do that for us?
Absolutely. We not only have gift packs of smoked salmon and halibut, we can also mix in any combination of our famous Alaskan sausage with reindeer meat, or maybe bratwurst, or our spicy Louisiana hot links.
Alaska Sausage and Seafood is the place, 2914 Arctic Boulevard.
Just tell them Herb sent you.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give him a call, 569-1080. You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning on the Talk of the Valley, KVNT.
All right, I'm not going to name names, but I want to give you
name names. Come on.
My thought on the Prop 1 yes people.
Name names.
I believe there are three basic groups. Let's say four. The four who just they're low information voters.
Okay, that's the fourth group.
That's the fourth group. They just don't. And Fagan, Biegel, Bonnie here. They just don't really pay attention. They just, whatever. The first group that supports yes on Prop 1 are the Hollis Frenches. I wouldn't get to name names. Strike that from the record. The lefties, greenies, Democrats, most of them are elected in the legislature, who honestly believe Alaska should be a national park. They want the oil industry out. That's the first group. Second group that supports yes on 1, they are the Norway model folks. They want they're big union folks. They want the government to take over the oil industry just like it did in Norway. That way everybody who works in the oil industry will be a union. And the union completely runs the state. So group 1, they want oil industry out of the state. Group 2, they want the government to take over the oil industry. The third group of people are just plain and simply really, really stupid. They're dumb. They have very low IQs. And they don't understand that taxes deter investment. They cannot make the connection in their itty-bitty pea-sized brains that when you tax something, you get less of it. They cannot grasp that complicated concept. So you got the four groups are greenies, they want the oil industry out. Labor union people, they want to control the state. They want us to be like Norway. The stupid people. And then you got the low information voters who really just don't pay attention. And whatever, yes, I don't know, whatever. I'll just, okay, yes.
It's our oil, it sounds good.
It's our oil, sounds good. Low information vote.
I'm very pessimistic.
You are?
No, what you just said.
No, it's not pessimistic.
I think we need to get back to a 60-40 state, where 60% of the state understands, like under Knowles.
It's like the low information voters. Okay. You can't deny prosperity.
Well, I'm trying to give them information, and I think that's very important for people to get information about how important Senate Bill 21 was to turning Alaska around.
But of the four groups, the fourth group, which is the low information voters, those are the only ones that can be changed. And I don't know what percentage of the yes on 1 crowd are just low information voters. I would imagine they're a pretty big percentage. So don't get pessimistic.
Norway doesn't run their own oil companies, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
Well, they basically own everything.
No, they don't.
Oh, how's it done then?
Well, they hire oil.
They the government.
They, the government, go out and survey where the oil is.
Right, the government does.
Then they give a lease, and oil companies come in and produce it. But those are not government workers. Those are oil industry workers.
So the government
they work for BP.
The government does.
They work for ConocoPhillips.
So the government does the exploration.
The government does the exploration.
Right, which is government run, because you start with the exploration.
I just wanted you to know
that. But that's government run.
There aren't government run oil
yes,
companies.
when the most important part, which is to find the oil, is run by the government. It's government run.
No, the most important part is not, because
Okay.
how much of our oil industry?
I know what you're about to make. Yeah, a key part.
Yeah,
you got to find it before you produce it. And when the key part starts with the government and government employees, that's empowering the unions.
Well, I don't know whether they hire non-government employees to go search for the oil or not.
They're union people.
I don't know whether the union people are not. Probably most people in Norway are probably union people, I guess.
But back to you being pessimistic, the low information voter, you can change their mind. You're not going to change the stupid people's minds because they're just stupid.
I got some sense that, like, Jim called, and he just thought, look, Jim called this program, right? This is these are the people I'm talking about.
Yes, on one.
He is a conservative.
Yeah.
He believes himself to be conservative. He does understand that high taxes deter investment. He just didn't think we had that high of taxes, and he didn't think Alaska was getting that much of a benefit from Senate Bill 21 because there's a lot of false information.
I would put him in the low information voter.
Okay, well, I would.
Even though he's listening to this program and he's hearing the facts.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I think that over time, people like Jim and lots of other people, maybe 10% of the electorate, that's really all I'm looking for. We need to build that 5% buffer
if Jim
to 15 to 20%.
That 75% of everything that came out of Bill Wielkowski's mouth was deceptive. If Jim knew the true facts about the jobs on the North Slope, the volume in the pipeline, there's no way he'd vote yes on one. So obviously he doesn't understand the reality of the situation.
You can apply that to all four groups, though, right?
No, the people who want the oil industry out of the state, they're very intelligent. They're accomplishing their goal. Their goal is one thing and one thing only. The same goal Big Environment has: shut down the pipeline prematurely.
I don't know why Bill Wielkowski would want the pipeline shut down.
He's a leftist.
He works for the IBEW. If the pipeline shut down, there's no IBEW.
Yeah. Why does he take all his money from environmental groups then?
I don't know.
Explain that one to me.
Well,
he doesn't take all of his money from him. He takes it from the IBEW.
Yeah, I suppose.
The low information.
I think that
you may be right. I don't know.
Well, look, I think there are environmentalists who do want the pipeline shut down. I think there are Bill Wielkowskis who wants to run the oil industry.
He wants an boardroom.
He wants the IBEW to run the oil industry. That's what he wants. He wants union bosses to run the oil industry, and he'll be the head of the union bosses.
The low information people are the ones who are sitting at a stoplight while we're sign waving, and they're saying, "What do we vote for? Tell us quick." And you say, "Oh, well, vote no because this," and then they go, "Okay."
Yeah. Well, look, this is complicated. What I'm hoping the oil industry takes from this is not a comfortable margin. We've got to build on this. People have to know more information, and it can't be done during an election because that turns one group against the other group. So I know that the oil industry doesn't want to have to make their case, but the education system, KTUU, KTVA, I don't know the KTVA, the Anchorage Daily News, these guys are making the opposite point each and every day, and they have got to spend, if it's $12 million a year, they've got to spend $12 million a year letting people know we are great partners for you. Believe in us. We believe in you. We love Alaska, and we want to stay here, and we're doing great things. I just think they've got to make that case. If they don't make that case, we don't build on this 5% buffer, which is not big enough. The unions and the Democrats are going to come back at us. If there's one negative story, one spill that happens up on the North Slope, one ship that crashes, another endangered species that comes online, they are going to come after Alaska and our oil companies again unless we can build on this win and convince more people that this partnership that Alaska has had for the last 40 years, that it's valuable, that it's doing good things, that it makes a difference, that it's reasonable and rational. So if we don't do that, and if they don't put forth the effort outside of an election season, I don't know. I don't want to be pessimistic. I want to be positive about this. I think there are 10 to 15% of people who could be convinced our partnership with the oil industry is very valuable. That's my hope.
I want to remind you that in about 5 minutes, we're changing addresses. We're literally going to go off the air at 95.5 FM and going down to 95.1 FM. That's if you're listening in Anchorage. And it's going to be a much more powerful signal. And so if you get in your car tomorrow and you're thinking, where's Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie? Oh, you're hearing it static. Go from 95.5 to 95.1 FM, and you'll catch us there. we're making this move because it's a much more powerful signal, and you can hear it's much stronger. Of course, we're still on 1080 AM in Anchorage, and also out in the Valley, we're on 92.5 FM, 92.5 FM in the Valley, and 1020 AM. You could also get the 92.5 FM in Anchorage. I do in my car. So you got lots of options there, but just keep in mind that in about 4 minutes, we're going to go from 95.5 FM to 95.1 FM. And you'll hear the difference, and it's just a much better signal, and it's going to be good for everybody. We're excited about it.
I heard something interesting yesterday. You want to know what it was?
Yeah.
Or I read it. Dan Sullivan's college roommate won the Minnesota primary against, and he'll be going against Al Franken.
Right.
So I'll definitely be rooting for his college roommate too. In addition to Dan Sullivan, I will be rooting for his roommate in Minnesota because he was also a 60th vote. Al Franken.
Yeah. Oh.
Man, the way he got into office, that was
very
so
strange.
Shady.
They
kept suing. They kept bringing in new votes. They kept recounting. Oh, it's just enough to make you sick.
Finding votes
for
the other guy.
Yeah, well, that's another thing when you talk about the difference between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. I just really don't think the Democratic leadership cares much about the rule of law.
You think?
I don't. I think they'll do anything to get elected, and I don't see that in the Republican Party. I don't. I think most Republican people are...
Unless you're Lisa Murkowski.
Well, that's a good example, I suppose.
But that was the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was interesting.
Any other thoughts on the election tomorrow? We were excited. Anand Dubé, he's a friend of the show. He beat his opponent in the primary. He goes on to take Meade Treadwell's biggest fan, Matt Clayman, on. Anybody else that stand out?
Yeah, Liz Vasquez, who I've worked with when she was on Chugach Electric Board, and she was a great conservative. She was just a great friend.
Sherry Jackson,
who's another friend.
1504 to 1351. Who do they take on in the general?
I think
Chris Tuck.
So
that's irrelevant.
No, I think they're actually going to do pretty well. They redesigned the districts there, and I think they're in a fairly conservative district now.
You think Dubé has a chance against Clayman?
That is really going to be a tough race, but
Clayman's got Meade Treadwell's money.
So he's probably got a good shot. I'll have his endorsement. No, my guess is that Anand will get the endorsement of Meade Treadwell, if I had to guess.
Really?
Yeah, I do believe so.
He can go back to being himself now. He didn't have to run as a conservative anymore.
Well, that'd be interesting to see what he does do for the general.
Folks, have a great day. We're back tomorrow. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. Number 95.1. That's what we're moving to in about 3 minutes. 1. That's what we're moving to.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to Fagan and Biegel in the... And that's a wrap.